Clerk, if possible, could you please close the doors? Excellent. Good evening, everyone. This is the Puyallup City Council meeting for December 9th. It's the last meeting of 2025. You're all welcome. Thank you for being here. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Gilliam.
Present.
Councilmember Whitting.
Present.
Councilmember Dorr.
Present.
Councilmember Johnson.
Present.
Deputy Mayor King.
Present.
Councilmember Adler.
Present.
Mayor Castro.
Present. So at this time, I'd like to scan in the audience to look for students in our K-12 system. I see some young individuals in the front row. Very hard for me to tell, I apologize. Are you in K-12 or are you? Okay. All right, sorry. You've retained your youth very well. With that, I do not see any younger individuals out here. So we do that, and I have done that throughout my tenure as mayor because I like to acknowledge the youth and let them know they're very welcome at these meetings and that someday they will be sitting up here and be future leaders of our city. So I look at you because you're the youngest right now. So with that, we're now going to move to item number 1, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Okay, excellent. Now we're going to move on to citizen comments. Clerk, could we please read the guidelines for citizen comments?
This part of the meeting is for general citizen comments. Please reserve any public hearing testimony to that section of the agenda. The mayor will call on those who have provided their names in advance. Then the mayor will call for other citizens who wish to speak. For the record, please state your name and address or city council district in which you reside. Please direct your comments to the council as a whole, not individual council members. All comments are limited to 3 minutes. The clerk will provide verbal notice when only 30 seconds remain. As a reminder, this portion of the meeting is council's opportunity to hear from the community and not a time to engage in debate. Lastly, per state law, this public comment period cannot be used to speak in support of or in opposition to a ballot measure or individual candidacy, and no such comments will be allowed.
Thank you, Clerk. Now we will have first John Hopkins.
John Hopkins, District 1. Sorry if this is a bit of a rinse and repeat, but you have parking on the agenda, so I got to talk about it. As you know, I've had property, commercial property downtown for 30 years, and during that time, there have been so many things that have happened. You know, small recession, the big depression, you know, that was a struggle. COVID, even had an earthquake as well. But out of all those things that have made life difficult along the way, the worst, by far, that I can recall is when Sound Transit first came to town and they took over the Cornforth lot, and then they parked willy-nilly around the streets because there wasn't proper control. And that was brutal. It was rough on businesses and rough on me as a landlord, so it wasn't that good. We've been through all that, and I know that there's going to be changes coming, and I'm not trying to stop them. You know, we've got multiple apartments coming, and the restrictions on parking, you know, 1 parking spot per unit, 0.7, those kind of numbers. We know very well what's going to happen. There'll be cars on the streets, whether we like it or not, because not everyone is Paul Romish. People have cars, families have cars. You probably got 20 amongst all of you here. It will happen, plus there will be a reduction in parking because of these developments. You know it, I know it, we all know it. So the thing that I would urge you to do is to continue the things that you are doing, which is you're looking around town and you're seeing opportunities like the school district building. We know very well with downtown flourishing that parking is going to get even worse, and with everything else, worse than that. So unless you want people to be coming here with pitchforks and torches like they did when Sounder came, keep doing what you're doing, gobble up those little lots, and figure it out ahead of time. Be proactive. That's all I'm asking. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Steve Aldrich.
Steve Aldrich. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I want to talk tonight about the critical areas of the comp plan that the Planning Department will be pitching to you guys real soon. I addressed my concerns to the Planning Commission last month, and they had a lot of discussion, and 3 of the 5 members present were not pleased with the 3 options presented, but in the end, they voted option C with a 200-foot setback. I don't know if they were tired of dealing with the issue or just up against the deadline and just to prove it. Have we lost all our common sense? I don't know. There's no reason to change the setbacks. RCWs state that there must be a critical area in the comp plan. There is no requirement to change what you have in the comp plan today. I mean, it works. For example, there's an application in the process for a building on 37th Avenue. It's Willis Pond up there on the hill. I'm just using this example. I don't care whether they build it or not. Is the proposed building within 200 feet of the pond? I don't know. So I visited the planning department yesterday to find out, but it looks like you still have employees still working from home, so I was not able to get the answer. Just looking at Google Maps, I don't think the development can be built within a 200-foot setback under the proposed rule change. I did get a call back tonight at 5:30, and the answer was kind of conflicting because they identified that as wetlands, and the 200-foot setback doesn't apply to wetlands, it just applies to the ditches or streams or rivers. That's kind of confusing, isn't it? I got a ditch that only gets water in it when it rains, and when it quits raining, it dries out, but I got to have a 200-foot setback. Yet we got a pond up there, and they're going to build an apartment complex. Doesn't apply to those rules. Council needs to be ready to make a quick decision to dump all the proposals from the planning department and leave the setbacks as they are for the good of the property owners. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Move on to Brandon Summons, please.
Hello, thank you for having us, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Brandon Simmons. I'm from Schoolie Foundation, and today I'm actually representing All Things Fun Sports and the recent parade that we were all in. Great parade. We absolutely enjoyed being a part of that with the foundation, and just seeing the lovely streets and how the city was lit up. The next day, we did the Grinch Run. A lot of the community came out. We had over 100 runners. We did pancakes. It was a great time. But we'd love to be able to have that event as part of the event with the parade as well. There's local organizations like Snohomish that actually have like a Grinch Run the very next day. So I know Kim's going to bring that up as well. We, on the 13th, are going to be providing 1,200 families here in Puyallup, actually, through communities and schools, food. So we do want to make sure that the local school kids know about that. And then also on the 24th, we're giving away a car for a family in need right here at Bradley Lake. So through All Things Fun Sports and the Ugly Sweatshirt Run, we have we were donated a vehicle, and we're going to be giving that vehicle away. It's been repaired through Goods Automotive. We just want to be able to have those types of events, having those runs here in Puyallup, make it really important for the community to get together. But we're trying to make sure that that's really what we're intending. Over the last 10 weeks, we've provided over 3,300 families with free groceries on 112th and Waller. We'll be doing that again tomorrow. We provide on average about 300 families with free groceries. And then we're also going to be looking towards the council. We have a shower trailer that we do. We've done about 1,000 showers this year from Thurston County to Pierce County, Tacoma, and we'd like to be able to provide that as well. We're talking with Pierce County Public Libraries to do that. And then, yeah, so it's kind of what we've been up to. We're not a food bank, but we do provide food. We do provide resources. We have our thrift store as well. And through how the community events work, through All Things Fun Sports, we've been able to branch out to our kids in the community, and we want to be able to make sure that we're making that more accessible. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Field.
Good evening, Council. I'm Kim Field. I'm the Executive Director of All Things Fun Sports. I also live in District 2. But before I start talking about what I'm here for, I want to talk to Julie Dorr. Councilmember Dorr, you are an amazing human being. We don't always see eye to eye, and you and I have had our disagreements. But when it comes to community, you're community first, and you believe in the Puyallup community. You're out here supporting, and you've always been supportive to All Things Fun Sports. And I am very grateful for you. So now, to piggyback off my buddy Brandon, he did an amazing job talking about how great our events were. So let's talk about the Grinch Run, shall we? We had over 100 runners, and Arla from New Hunt Furniture got to see the streak of green of Grinches running through downtown Puyallup. We have an amazing Santa parade on Saturday night, and then we have this run on Sunday morning. It would be amazing if we could partner together not only with Main Street with the parade, but with the city, and turn us into Puyallupville and make it a 2-day event, bringing people downtown on Sunday morning, providing shopping. You know, we've served, I don't even know how many pancakes, we served a lot. But we also raised a busload, and I'm not kidding, of toys for those in need for the Scully Foundation. We could do this. As Brandon stated, Snohomish has chased the Grinch out of Snohomish. Why don't we chase the Grinch out of Puyallup? Make it a big festive event. Have it 2 days. We have businesses that would strive, because on Sundays, it is dead as a doornail downtown. And as Brandon said, I am lucky enough to be part of the Christmas Eve Ugly Sweater Run, because it is my event, but he's going to make a difference. I'm going to look at each and every one of you and say, if you want a car, you'd be happy, right? But if you don't win that car, it's not going to change your life. The people that are going to win this car on Christmas Eve, it is going to make a life and death miracle for them. And that's what we're about, giving back to community. Without community, not one of us ceases to exist, not council, not our cities, and not our local businesses. So I ask that you all take a look, and I'm willing to sit down, and I'm sure Brandon is as well,
30 seconds.
to come out, talk to us, and let's make Puyallup, Puyallupville, and make it a festive holiday community. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Kathleen McLeod.
Kathleen McLeod, District 3. Just the season. Goodwill and good times with family and friends. Also, a time when children are judged to be the naughty or nice. Not really fair, because as we know, most little ones are a combination of both, as they learn to navigate through the stages of growing into whoever they're going to be. This scenario is not all that different when looking at elected officials. Here in Puyallup, we've witnessed a scenario that has included good deeds as well as undesirable outcomes. A few months ago, a good thing. 150 people came to a city council meeting, most of them for the first time, to ask, plead, or simply request that specifically, just a few of you, actually a majority, reconsider the amendments that were attached to the city plan. 50 people spoke, encouraged to do so. It took 2 hours. They spoke in vain. Instead, you voted just as you planned. And then the mayor tried in vain to convince everyone that all would be well. That pre-prepared speech was not well received. He was booed by 150 people twice. The good outcome was that those words inspired those people to look further into what has been done. They learned that, although they had voted against spending their dollars to build a jail 3 times, You found a way to use city funds to lease the building and spend even more city dollars to refurbish it into a jail. They learned that you allotted $4 million of city funds to create a street that benefits the fair, but not the people of Puyallup. For these actions and more, at least 4 of you have earned the title of the City Council Scrooges of 2025. Because you have failed time after time to spend the funds entrusted to you in a way that best fits the needs of the citizens of this city. One final hyphenated word, bah humbug. We, all the citizens of Puyallup, deserve better in 2026. Thank you.
Next speaker is Chris Chisholm.
Hi, Chris Chisholm, District 2. So founder and treasurer of Puyallup Voters for Integrity. Congratulations to Councilmember Dorr on 12 years of service, including as mayor through COVID and everything else. Tonight's consent agenda reminds me of 2 years ago this month when the flock camera program was passed with absolutely no discussion on council, with no one knowing what it was, and with no safeguards on the misuse of the program. We still don't have assurances because this council has a false trust in the system, offering no hearing about the program, unlike many other cities which found out the hard way this fall that the federal government can easily hack into it. Similar tonight, you have a consent agenda, a proposal to go forward with a service agreement with your exclusive contractor, McKinsey, which keeps giving you wildly expensive proposals now for pre-design work on renovating the city jail. I forecast this eventuality here during citizen comments when he put the 2023 proposition on the ballot, warning that when it failed, you would end up doing this. Later that year, I came to find out that running our jail costs well north of $2 million a year to house less than an average of 30 inmates per day. While all other surrounding cities have closed their jails in favor of using our Pierce County jail because it's so much more cost effective. Tacoma only spends half what we do housing 30 inmates a day, while Lakewood, a city also significantly larger than Puyallup, spends another half of that. As you saw in the chart I presented here last week, I have recommended for the past couple of years that we close our jail, transfer corrections jobs to Pierce County, and have transport officers bring inmates to regional jails like all the other cities around us. Save ourselves over $1 million a year. Instead, you want to spend millions to renovate a building you said can't be renovated and continue spending millions per year on a jail we don't need, since New Pierce County Jail was built by our tax dollars for the express purpose of cities not having to run our own misdemeanor jails. After this, failing to listen to voters and spending about twice as much on a police station that we voted down 3 times. And after bringing that point up last week, the mayor turned my comments into a debate, as usual on anything he disagrees about, immediately responding with a false claim that the Puyallup Voters for Integrity recommendations were invalid, despite his own rules around citizen comments not being a time for debate. Council members have all the time in the world to talk during their comments at the end of the meeting, and there's no restriction on citizens talking about council members. Even the made-up rule about not being able to address our own council representatives is unnecessary and simply aggravates the citizens. I hope next year's mayor creates rules around comments that honor citizens, the First Amendment, and state law. For instance, there's no state law that forbids discussions of initiatives or even candidates on the ballot. That was something you dreamed up 2 years ago to squash anyone from speaking against the 2023 ballot proposition, while the city had free rein to spend millions of our tax dollars propaganda promoting it. State law only says that if one side of an issue is presented, that the other side has to be given equal time.
3 minutes.
Can I finish my last sentence?
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Citizen comments are important to keep city council members accountable, informed on what citizens think, and I hope the next mayor lets citizens know they can mention what their council members have done without feeling like they're going to be attacked while speaking afterwards, no matter if it's during election season or Christmas time. Thank you.
Thank you. The comments last time were made because you identify individuals, and they were very explicit. The comments are to the council in general. They were. Enough. Let's go ahead and move on. Next person is Andrelyn Izquierdo.
Good evening, council members. My name is Angelina Izquierdo from Pierce County District 2, and I'm a human rights activist surviving human trafficking. Today, I'd like to talk about our serious systemic issue, not just in our country, but in our city that's existed over time, often hidden from others' eyes, slavery. According to Britannica, it is the practice of forcing people to work, denying them freedom, and treating them as property. It has transformed over the years to be called modern-day slavery and often resorts in extreme violence for me. It exists in human trafficking, forced labor, and forced marriage. And that affects millions through coercion, violence, and debt, even though it's illegal under international law. People can quickly band together, as this group can be huge and do anything to spread lies and taint things away from any targeted individual or other group. I've been told that Puerto Ricans, or even Puerto Rican women, which is myself, and Hispanics are the primary people to be enslaved, according during this current year of time. So wanted hanging off of balconies, cemented to walls, or any other extremely violent, hateful act that can be the unspeakable. So there's a huge, large human trafficking ring that is the KKK or Ku Klux Klan that's been targeting me, my loved ones, and friends for this purpose. The situation can get out of hand very quickly and needs more preventative practices, attentive mitigation, and immediate consequences to help put this to an end. So I hope that somehow next year or even now that there can be put more thought into any processes or operations that you guys do. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you. With that, that finishes all of the comments that people signed up for. If there's anyone else who would like to come forward, feel free to do so. You're entitled to 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Joe Stinson. I'm a condo owner. I'm a 20-year commuter through downtown, a Puyallup High School grad, and grew up here. Anyway, I'm here tonight because I wanted to talk about the parking situation that's coming to downtown. So I read in the TNT recently that we're going to be adding 240 units collectively between both apartment buildings that are going to be going in the coming years. And both of those units are going to have 0.7 parking spots per unit. So doing some quick math on that, that means that we're going to have 72 units that don't have a parking spot, and another 168 that are only going to have one parking spot. The likelihood that you're not going to need extra parking for those people that's permanent it's low. And on top of that, those people are going to have guests. On top of that, we're taking away a parking lot that has about 80 spots, I'm estimating, that's just next to the building next door. I love downtown life. The Santa Parade this weekend was great. I just want to know what Puyallup is going to look like in 5 years when this is done. I honestly do not see people dealing with the traffic downtown to do anything in the park. And I've lived here for a long time. I remember what the park was like 30 years ago. True story. When I was at Puyallup High School, I actually went downtown to the park as part of an assignment for Mrs. Brudewold's class to film a video of what life was like in a developing nation. My point is, Puyallup, the park has come a long way, and it's pretty amazing what this city has done with the park, the life you've brought. I just want to know that 5 years from now, when all of this is done, we're still going to have a spray park. We're still going to have a pavilion that's being used. We're still going to have all the things that we love. The markets, the concerts. If we add too much friction, I'm worried that we're going to lose it. That's all.
Thank you. We will have a hearing regarding one of those developments as item number 5, so please, if you could stay for that. I think you'll hear some responses to that. Anyone else? Seeing none, we're now going to move on to item number 2, consent agenda. And these are items that were previously distributed to all members, and with one vote, we pass all of these items. Having said that, I always give all members the opportunity, if they'd like to remove an item for later discussion, to do so. Do I have anyone who would like to make such a request? Councilmember Whitting.
Yes, I'd like to pull item 2C. for later discussion.
K2C, and let's go ahead and put that under other business. Okay, any other requests? Okay, with that, is there a motion to approve as amended the consent
approval.
agenda?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. With that, we're now going to move on to number 5, public hearings. And 3A is a public hearing and consideration of a development agreement regarding a new multifamily residential building in downtown Puyallup located at 204 4th Street Southwest. We were apprised about this at the last meeting. What we will do is have our city manager, Steve Kirkley, review that briefly, and then we'll have a public hearing take place.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Castema and council members. Steve Kirkley, city manager. And this presentation will look somewhat familiar to you. It's similar to what staff did a couple weeks ago at your November 18th meeting. After I am done with the presentation, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor and council, and you will need to hold a public hearing. And then after the public hearing, then discussion and deliberation on the development agreement. I would be remiss in not mentioning our downtown economic development plan that was approved by all of you by City Council in 2019. One of the hallmarks of that is redevelopment in downtown and creating more density in downtown. This development that will be before you tonight is about a block from the Sound Transit station. Transit-oriented development was a critical part of the downtown economic development plan, something that not only provides a variety of housing for our current residents and future residents, but also then goes to support our local businesses. As you know, most all of the businesses in downtown Puyallup are locally owned businesses. And the more residents and the more density we can have in downtown, the better it is to support them. The site that is of reference tonight is called the Bell site. That's simply because it was owned by the Bell family. It's 3 parcels, just shy of about an acre. It's right next to the existing police department, and then just east of 5th Street and right down adjacent to Pioneer. So that is the site that we're talking about. It is not a city-owned site. This is a private development, privately owned. So the purpose and the scope of this project, the property, all 3 parcels have been purchased by Urban Puyallup LLC. Urban Puyallup is associated with Urban Olympia, and that is the development group that also owns the AOB lot. So there's certainly some synergy between these 2 projects. What is proposed is a 5-story multifamily residential building, ground floor parking, and then 4 floors of residential units. 100 market rate units with about 70 on-site parking stalls. This is just a visual architectural rendering of what the building would look like. This is on Pioneer, so looking to the north. And then this is looking on the opposite side, so looking to the south along Meeker. You can see there the entrance into the ground floor parking garage. It's a general layout of each floor. So as I mentioned earlier, 2, 3, and the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th floors are all residential units, a mixture of studios, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. They're on that the 2nd floor. They have a courtyard along with a dog run area. So this is an AstroTurf type of area that is very popular with urban living and people who, a lot of residents own animals. So just a brief overview of the development agreement. First of all, the developer is Urban Olympia, and I think at the last presentation you've seen their portfolio of mixed-use projects. They have several in downtown Olympia, 1 in Lacey, and they specialize in this type of project. The term of the development agreement is 5 years, meaning the project has to be done within 5 years. It likely would be done before that, but that is the term of the development agreement. And obviously, it has to come before you, which it is tonight, and there has to be a public hearing. some of the public benefits associated with this development. First of all, and I'll try to use my cursor, I don't know if you can see, but the development is required to put in a new water main along Pioneer. Right now, that's a 10-inch water main that's about 100 years old. And so as part of the development, they're required to replace the water main from Pioneer over to Fifth, where the other main is. We have come to an agreement with Urban Olympia that they would replace the water main all the way over to in front of the AOB. So it's about 280 additional feet that they're not required to replace, but they will. Our engineering estimate, that's about $417,000 if we had to do it. So that's certainly beneficial to us and all of residents of Puyallup for having safe conveyance of water. Also, Urban Olympia also has a development at the AOB, as we're familiar with, and so certainly having some synergy between this project and that project in terms of design, traffic impacts, and other requirements is important. And lastly, in terms of parking, right now in downtown, at least through mid-July of 2027, we require one stall per unit. That will change in July of 2027. In July 2027, this development would only be required to have 0.5 stall. And so part of this development agreement is to get out, that's state law, by the way, if I neglected to say that, that's what the state is requiring. And so part of this is to get ahead of that and have a strategic decision here to require 0.7. So if we don't require that and development doesn't go forward now, all they have to do is wait until July 2027, and it would be 0.5 requirement. So that's another key component of the development agreement. So that's a brief summary of the presentation that you heard previously. I abbreviated some. Walker John, who is the owner of Urban Olympia, is here this evening, certainly can answer any questions. And in terms of the next steps, Mayor, I'll return it back to you for the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. We have questions. I would, however, like to clarify what you had said there regarding going to a 0.5 requirement. Actually, the Transit-Oriented Development Bill, that was another one that they passed, said that within a half mile of a sounder station, it is 0. Now, I'm going to repeat that. Within a half mile of the sounder station, that's all the way to the fairgrounds and all the way to the river, is 0. And that happens in 2029. So that's what the city of Puyallup is facing. And that's why strategically it's important that we get out, move ahead, and we secure the best we possibly can. I'll go over other things we have done for parking when we get into the comments on this. But Councilmember Whitting, I'm sorry, is that a question? Councilmember Johnson.
You filled in for what I wanted to comment on, so thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, I just want to tag on that too. It's a reminder, you know, it's easy to look at some of these parking struggles and kind of throw that back on cities for not enacting this. Remember, this is a statewide mandate by legislators that impose this upon every single city in Washington state across the whole state. So we have no ability to push back on this in city in Washington state across the whole state. So we have no ability to push back on this and hold up on it. So, you know, if people have pent-up anger, it really should be towards the legislators who passed this and impose this upon cities, whether we like it or not. So, you know, as what Mayor said, you know, we can dislike the 0.7, or we can realize that if someone was scrupulous, they could wait a year or two and go to 0.5, or quite frankly, because all these are within the area of the train station, could say 0. So, you know, there's various ways we can look at this, and I think we should look at it from an optimistic standpoint and realize this was not something that we have a choice over. If anybody's got a clear avenue of how this could be pushed back in the state, let us know, but I don't see any way out of it. So a lot of us are not real thrilled with some of these things, but it's the cards that were dealt with us that we were forced upon our hand. And we can't, that's what we have to deal with. So put your energies towards this Olympia. That's where that came from.
Okay, with that, if there's no further questions, I'm going to now open this hearing. It's a public hearing for comments. Each speaker is allowed 2 minutes. If someone would like to come forward and speak, feel free. Obviously, the comments you made in prior public comment session apply here. We heard those very clearly. Please, Valerie.
Valerie, District 2. Starbucks had a rehab center that closed and was bulldozed down 5-6 years ago. That's open space. Why isn't that turned into parking? Has the city talked to anybody that may own the land and has tried to negotiate or just kind of do a eminent domain kind of thing, but at fair market value, and put parking in down there? That's been empty. It's been a homeless camp. It's where the burger shop is down there by the fairgrounds. And it's been empty and non-used for years. So that would be one suggestion, one solution, and get it done now so you're not in that 2027 crunch of limited parking.
Thank you. Further comments? Yes, please.
Took off my Bahamba hat and I'm wearing my senior citizen hat. Nobody has said anything about the grandiose, let's all celebrate the 50 parking spaces that you promised for seniors. I drove my father was gifted a car. It was one of those in the 50s, big boat car with a double Hemi engine. With 8 children, he couldn't afford to buy it. A buddy of his thought it was really good that he should have it, but he let me drive that car to the University of Washington. I was a 17-year-old freshman. Of course, I couldn't have a car. But I parked that behemoth, parallel parked it, up on Greek Row. If I had that much space, without power steering, I could do it. But my dad said, you may never try to parallel park that car on a street, a thoroughfare. And yet you want the citizens, the senior citizens, to do that. 20 spaces of parallel parking. He also said never go someplace that's at an angle that you have to back out into traffic. And that's the other 30 spaces of the 50. And since I haven't heard anybody else make a comment about that, I just want you to know all the senior citizens that I have talked to are like, what? So that's what I'm asking you. Is that still all they get?
Thank you. If there's no more comments, I will go ahead and respond. Yes, please.
So I just have some suggestions. As without any further extra developments, I know we have so many projects up on the way over these years, but has anyone put more thought into perhaps maybe elevating more of the state fair parking lots, which will also help impact us downtown? There's also right now trying to park at the library. We already know that's like a project itself. So have we thought of maybe perhaps going even up on that one as well and just making another parking garage that's here? It'll solve the issue for here, and then we can also extend the time frame that we have. The open lots that we have right now are 2-hour time limits. Perhaps we can have an extension for 3 or 4 hour time frames for the parking lots. Even if we build from the ground up, it shouldn't be too expensive since it is building more up and we won't have too many structures. So it's just something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the suggestion. Okay, with that, if there's no further comments, I'm going to close public hearing. And now we're going to discuss the motion to approve a resolution authorizing this development agreement. There has to be a motion before us, and then we'll go ahead and I will respond to the questions that have been brought forward. Is there a member that would like to put forward a motion to approve, authorize the development agreement?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Now we are in discussion. I'd like to review some of the suggestions. Thank you for all of you bringing forward the suggestions that you have. The City of Puyallup has negotiated with Sound Transit that at 11:30 in the morning on during the week, and then on weekends, that all of the approximately 800 parking places at Sound Transit are available to anyone who wants to use them. And that would mean at weekends, you have free parking in downtown Puyallup, a very unique feature that Puyallup has, unlike other cities that are out there. We were able to negotiate that because that was part of the negotiated agreement to vacate a street to where the parking garage is right now. As to the seniors, we have been negotiating, and we came to an agreement that they are very pleased with, that gives them 50 dedicated parking places. Well, I had negotiated that myself personally. And I can tell you this, I'm a senior, and I can use angle parking, I can use parallel parking, I can use a variety of parking. We're going to make sure that the parking, we've already identified the parking places. They include ADA parking in front of the restroom, which is close to this entrance to the Senior Activity Center, plus the ones directly right across from that entrance to the Senior Activity Center, plus additional ones that are in the front where you have the anthem. Those will all be dedicated, and they will, the only way you will be able to use those is by having a placard from the senior center, and we will have parking enforcement there. And every day from 8 until 4, those will be entitled to people solely who use the Senior Activity Center. And we started with approximately 30, 35, and we ended up with 50. And there is an agreement that we believe that that is ample for them. So we are very cognizant of the parking situation in downtown Puyallup. We also have mandates that we have to grow as a city, 7,500 new residences within a certain time frame. But our downtown area has been ripe for development 4 years, planned for development 4 years, and you have mandates coming down from the state that eliminate our ability to require parking from these different developers. So what we are doing is we are leveraging right now the best we can to get for the people of Puyallup the most parking that they possibly can. Is this endeavor over? No. We have another resolution today that will change another parking lot so that we'll go to just 2 to 4 hour parking. So that will free up more parking for people who use our downtown area. And it won't be used by residences in these apartments because they can't park for just 2 hours or 4 hours. These will be for people who shop in downtown Puyallup. As leaders of this community, we understand the lifeblood of our downtown retail establishments is to have parking, where people can come down here for 1 to 2 hours, find parking, and go ahead and then go into the restaurants. We believe we secured hundreds of positions at the Sounder Station, and the Main Street Association has already put out information that it's 400 steps from the Sounder parking to the market that they have, the farmers market on Saturdays. So that's 400 steps from the parking to the downtown park. So we are doing whatever we can to leverage as much parking for the people of Puyallup. And I think we're doing that responsibly, and we're doing that in a very prudent manner. So with that, I will open it up to discussion for other members. Seeing no further discussion, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of Lauren Adler, Councilmember Adler, please go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to be really clear because I continue to talk about parking and will until I no longer have the honor and privilege of serving in this position, that while I support development downtown and recognize the requirements that the state has put on transit-oriented development, for which I am supportive of, we continue to have an infrastructure problem in downtown Puyallup as it relates to parking. And that is something that I hope that we will continue to talk about separately from the developments that will be taking place in downtown, because I do think that it is a separate conversation. Again, I want to thank Walker John for his investment and interest in Puyallup. I continue to be very concerned about how quickly these developments will happen and the change, the pace of change that will happen in downtown Puyallup. But I do think that the development is what is needed because we need more homes and we need all types of homes to help folks get into housing right here in our city. But I maintain that we continue to have an infrastructure related to parking challenge. And again, I hope that this council will continue to have that conversation separate from development in the future. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. So hearing no further comments, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the motion does pass. We're now going to move on to the 3B, a public hearing on the 2026-2031 six-year transportation improvement plan. Hans Hunger, please introduce this and answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mayor, council members. So tonight I'm here to just present, as we do annually, the Transportation Improvement Plan. This is a six-year plan that kind of outlines our transportation projects that are on our radar screen for implementing in Puyallup. So, as I said, we have to update this annually by state law, and the TIP definitely just reflects transportation projects, so not to get confused with other types of capital facilities plans that we put forward to you for utilities and things like that. This is just transportation related, but it's not just cars, it's active transportation and large corridor projects that we put on there. And I will say the TIP is a planning document, but it's aspirational, meaning it's not fiscally constrained like the budget is. When we pass a 2-year budget, we actually have to have those dollars secured in order to be able to put those projects on. But the TIP is more what's on our radar screen, and it's really important to get projects on there that are on your radar screen, because often when you're applying for grants, it's required that these be on your transportation improvement plan. We take projects off as we complete them. So here's a list of projects that are either under construction right now or already been completed, and those come off the list. And I wanted to give a little bit of instructions, because this is a long list, 64 projects, and it's hard to understand. Like, it's taken me years as I slowly have worked here to understand what's the origin of this project and where can I find more information about it. So I wanted to just go through a little bit on, how you can read the tables in the Transportation Improvement Plan. You have the project type that really categorizes things, non-motorized, corridors, which are they're road improvements, but they're for a long length there, which will probably be broken into individual segments. You've got your intersection improvements, and then just your road maintenance activities, overlays, chip seals that we do annually, along with other improvements, for widening out a street or bringing something up into current standards. You have your project origin, and this is one of the more important things, I think, to understand. To really know this project, you have to know where did it come from, and most of these projects come from our long-range plans. The council passes active transportation plans and safe routes to school plans and things like that. They have long lists of projects on there, and we take the projects that have the most interest, the highest priority, because those plans usually rank the projects there, and we put them into the transportation improvement plan, and then we start to really plan out. And this is where we'll start to apply for grants for things. We'll start to maybe work a little bit of public education on, this is a future corridor that we plan to. It helps us when we're doing development that occurs along these corridors to make sure enough right-of-way is dedicated for those future projects. The project IDs, so in saying that it's coming out of a long-range plan, what was the ID for number in there? So you can actually look up in that long-range plan. All our long-range plans are on our website, and you can look up and find the actual project ID there to be able to find out a little bit more about that project and what drove it to be a priority for the city. And then one of the ways that you can say, you know, how do you know if they're actively working on this? It's in the tip, but there's 64 projects. Well, if you see a CIP project number, that means we've actually assigned a project number to it. We've assigned a project manager. We're working on this project in various phases. So it sets it like those are the ones that have a little more priority within the tip. And then this is one that's a little hard to understand, but as we did the comp plan, and we do a lot of assumptions in our comp plan for our long-range planning. That's a 20-year plan out there for what we see for this city. You have to make some assumptions. When you're doing the analysis of this, 7,400 new residences and the new trips coming into Puyallup there, how do you figure out which ones need to have some, what's the mitigation needed there? So you have to make some assumptions about what's the baseline. A baseline project is one that we're assuming by the end of the 20-year cycle of the comp plan, that project will be complete. And so when we do our traffic analysis, that project has already been complete, and we're treating that as if it, for the level of service analysis for that corridor, that intersection, that has been complete. If it's mitigation, this has not been completed. It's been identified as when those 7,400 trips hit the city and we now are losing our level of service at this intersection, this is mitigation that has to be compensated for. And so ways to look at that as those trips, as that development is starting to occur. And then capacity. Is this a capacity building project? This is important because as you look at different types of money, different money like the traffic impact fees, those fees can only be used to things that improve the capacity. So it's really, this is helping someone to identify what money could I use for this project. If it's a capacity project, I can use this money. If it's not, then I might have to use this other money. And then this is a 6-year plan, but the programmed out years kind of help you also identify what's the priority of this. You'll see quite a few projects on here that have no dollars assigned to them, because although they're on our radar screen for that 20-year horizon of the comp plan, we haven't programmed dollars in yet. Although this is not fiscally constrained, we have to have some idea, like, can we reasonably get up this? If we get some of these grants here and there and cobble this money together, can we get this done in this time frame? So that's why I say, on something like this is the dollar amounts can kind of help tell you, hey, this is on the city's radar screen, because I see in 2028 we're starting this project here. The highlights of the plan, 64 projects, including all. That average is about $17 million a year. And it's important to know, we don't have $17 million a year locally. So this is the assumptions of what grants are available that we might be able to secure and are trying for. Realistically, when I look back, we have between 6 and 9 million actually available. That's a combination of grants, traffic impact fees, local money, lift money, for things like that. So even that would tell you, boy, if you don't have you have programmed 17 million, but you're only going to get 6 to 9 million, you're going to have to delay some of these projects. So each year as we update, we move some projects further back. And that 6 to 9 million, that's a mix of about $1.7 million of street funds, $3 million of other local funds, and $5.3 million of grants per year. Where those local fund sources come? Well, there are a variety of them there. Probably, the general fund had long been part of the streets fund, mainly for maintenance and operation, things like chip seals and stuff. But last year was passed a transportation benefit district to give us a designated source that isn't so much in competition with other things that pull on the general fund. And then we have traffic impact fees, which later or early next year we'll be bringing to you an update to our traffic impact fee study to consider. The local infrastructure financing tool, LIFT, that supplies $1 million to the city from the state every year, as long as we spend $1 million of our own money on infrastructure within a designated area for downtown and South Hill. And then Tier 3, we've started using some lodging tax money for projects that are specifically around tourism branding there. And then a reminder that we do have an in lieu fee program that when a development occurs, they have to do frontage improvements, but sometimes it's just really tough to fit those in, and they can buy into the fee in lieu program. It's at their discretion and the city's discretion, so both have to be in agreement with that. And those go to some of these other projects for pedestrian improvements. And then partnerships too. So going forward, we'll continue to evaluate sources of funding for projects on this list. We'll look at new revenue sources, because it's always a struggle. You never have enough money for the transportation improvements that you want to do. So you're constantly looking for, where can we maybe find some additional funds to do this and get creative. Continuing to refine project estimates. It's important as you put these things on there. Are you in the ballpark or not? Because some of these can have serious scope creep as you start to really put the meat on the bones of the project there. And then I always tell you every year, I'm open to changing the format on this transportation improvement plan. It is a complex document, but I want it to be something that our citizens and you can understand there, so I'm open to that. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Hans. Any questions? Okay, with that, Councilmember Gilliam.
Thank you, Mayor Castma. Hey, Hans. First of all, thank you very much for this update. Appreciate it. I know it's an annual thing. You did very well. Appreciate you. I was just curious how much community involvement and how do you plan on getting the word out to the community to be more connected to the projects so that they can give their voice and input? Do we have a plan around that?
That's an excellent question and stuff. I think, we don't have an overall public involvement for the tip here, but I rely a lot on the planning, the long-range plan documents that bring the projects in and get ranked in those projects. So if I'm looking at something like a safe routes to school plan or an active transportation plan, I rely a lot on the public involvement that's in that plan that starts to rank those projects to give me information. Now, once we start a corridor project, something like 9th or something, then we'll start doing more public outreach there because there is a lot of questions and scope as far as like, how many lanes are you putting in here? What are the pedestrian facilities? So that's really where we get the input.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, you're looking for a resolution to approve the 2026 to 2031 six-year transportation improvement plan, correct?
Yes, but it's a public hearing, so we have to have public comments first.
Okay, with that. Okay, we will now open up. Oh, excuse me. Before I do that, we have the city attorney, Joe Back.
I apologize, Mayor. I was jumping in to say the same thing that Hans just told you. So.
Okay. All right. With that, we're going to go into a public hearing. At this time, people can come forward and speak regarding the six-year transportation improvement plan, and they're all given 2 minutes.
I'll go first. Steve Aldrich. Before I start, you're right. It is a complicated plan. And I apologize if I step on anybody's toes, it's probably yours. So I have an issue with item number 40 on the six-year transportation plan. I spoke about the removal of the turn lane in front of Costco back in December 6, 2022. I also had a sit-down meeting with several council members to discuss this as well. It appears that nothing has been produced from the meeting as the tip doesn't reflect fixing the problem the former city manager and lead traffic engineer created. I don't know if any discussions with staff took place. If they did, they have not acted on it. Item 40 is putting the cart before the horse. We need to fix the lanes first, then the traffic signals. All that being said, I would like clarification on item 52. Does this address my concerns I just stated? I'm confused on the statement in the right-hand column that says two-way left turns. I don't know where that goes. Costco back in '99 did what was required of them per the city's requirements of occupancy and paid for improvements to 39th Street, and the city removed them by means of a couple former employees' actions. Costco is in the process of moving the fuel station to the vacant lot by the intersection of 39th and 14th. This would most likely mean a change to the traffic lights at 39th and 14th. The traffic study has not been done yet, so it's a wait and see if that will actually have to be changed. I would, of course, have to be on Costco's side this time and push the city to reinstall the center turn lane on 39th. This may include taking the city to court. The city has already been to court over 39th Street and paid dearly for their mistakes. Please replace the center turn lane. It can be done. You just have to be willing to step forward and do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hans, was there a question there that you could respond to? You talked about a sequential issue of we're putting the lanes before the light, and I'm just curious as to you can provide feedback to him. I know we're looking at a huge list, but nevertheless.
Well, I think what we would be looking at on the lights, as I understand it, is putting in a intelligent traffic system and stuff. The lights talk to each other, just like we've done on Meridian Corridor and on River Road Corridor and stuff. The two-way left turn lane really requires first acquisition of business parking along the south side of the road and stuff. So I guess, in my opinion, those two could be done independently of each other, those two projects.
Okay, thank you. We are still in public comment. Someone else wishes to speak? Yes, please.
Hello, Angelina Izquierdo with District 2. So for the 6-year transportation improvement plan, usually I see a lot of like the locations explained with the mapping and where things are going to go, and of course positioning. But there's some things that I would like to see taken into account into the plan. So how about reliability of schedule for the passengers of the community? So having experienced 1 to 2 timeframes of no shows at different bus stops around the city for the past 8 years from my personal experience. Would there be a type of reporting and reinforcement of this? Or how does one, when a commuter who has to go to work, go to a bus stop and having to walk about 1 to 1.5 hours for that one bus stop and then not have a bus show up for the 1 to 2 hours and ends up having to run late for work? So that's been a commonality off of downtown Meridian, also along East Main as well. So there's that. There's also the vandalism of bus stops. Like, who do we talk to? If a bus stop is vandalized, does the driver want to still go there? It seems like they're often given choices. So that's something more to talk to Sound Transit about, or yes, or Pierce Transit. And then will we have scooters also in the Tacoma area, also to accommodate for the longer areas that we don't have any buses or other forms of transportation? Are you grouping up together with Ride Together Pierce, like I do with public outreach? They often go to libraries as well, or other community centers, and do like pop-up clinics where they answer questions, take comments, and also demonstrate some of their plans too.
Mr. Mayor, the speaker's reached 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hans, my understanding is this is a list of projects, correct? And this is Pierce Transit issue. It does not include that, correct?
It does not include facilities specifically for bus stops. We would coordinate any of our road improvements, like a Ninth Street corridor, to accommodate facilities for bus stops. But the scheduling, the location of routes and stuff, that really comes down to Pierce Transit or Sound Transit.
Right. And this may be something where we can discuss offline on this issue. Thank you for your testimony. Okay, with that, any further comments? Yes, sir, please.
Hi, my name's James Steves. First time doing this, so forgive me if I'm not. I have a question because I know a lot of our neighbors and anybody that lives over on Shaw Road. We have all those apartment home going in, and then I guess there's some plans for it across the street. And I'll be honest, I haven't delved into this yet. I'm just asking outright because I'd like to know, are there plans in the next 6 years to widen any of Shaw Road or take up? That's going to be a lot of traffic going down. They've got that warehouse that's on the other side. And I just see we're still at that 3-lane road with the kind of turn lane in the middle. Can you kind of give us an insight on how you guys are looking at that and what your plans are to alleviate any, because there's still, right now, there's a lot of traffic on that. And I would love to know your kind of idea on what's going on with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Hans, please.
Yeah, Shaw Road is maybe myself being more ambitious. I sometimes wonder and stuff. That was one of our baseline projects, one of our ones that we assumed in 20 years we will get done. The reason I based that at the decision was we've already done the planning. We know the road layout and the configuration of this road. We have applied for a federal grant 4 separate times for this, so we are actively just working on this. Right now, we are working on the design phase for the section of Shaw Road from 23rd on to 20th. It's a small chunk there right before the first Deer Creek crossing. So I base that on, yes, it is a very active project that we are working on, trying to figure this out, trying to find new sources of funding for this. And just today, we attended a public hearing with a development that's occurring up on the Crystal Ridge Road, kind of right there at the tucked in on Shaw Road and 23rd there. And the way we worked with that developer was on agreeing that they'll do frontage improvements along 23rd and Crystal Ridge, do that, but along Shaw Road, where we're still trying to work on the design there, they will dedicate the right-of-way necessary, they'll do the rough grading of the road, and they'll build the walls necessary for that section. So, I mean, in many ways, we are continually working on Shaw Road to try to further that project along in the hopes of getting that out to a ultimate 4 and then to 5-lane section.
Understand, thank you. I've written a few letters pleading that case to our congressional delegation with, at the time, Pierce County Executive Bruce Danmeyer. So, but I do think that those are very competitive grants, but diligence is certainly called for. Any other further questions? Okay, with that, we're going to close the public hearing on this, and we will now go into a motion. And when that motion is made, Councilmember Whitting, we will open it up, unless you have a question of Hans. If you have a statement, let's put the motion before us first. Okay. Again, if we have questions, let's bring those up now. But
Move approval.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Now we will go into discussion. Councilmember Whitting.
Yeah, Hans, I just wanted to I've heard numbers thrown around for the cost of the project from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill. Could you refresh my memory on what the amount is there?
Yes, it's right around $80 million, design, right-of-way, and construction.
So clearly this is a big bite and not something that we can do as a city. So those federal grant, this is actually not something that even the state can easily fund. So the federal grants are going to be critical, and I've been party to several conversations with our members of Congress about this issue, and they're well aware of it, and hopefully we can get something through in the near term. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Whitting. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. More of a comment on Shaw Road. I remember when I ran in the at-large position twice and was fortunate to be elected twice in that particular role. One of the things that I heard from District 3 and certain parts of District 2 was the frustration of Shaw Road, and with the traffic, the bottleneck, even after it was widened with some of the impervious pavement, some of the concerns and even about that product. But that being said, I guess I just want to put it out to council on this. I've mentioned it several times, in my 10 years here. I don't recall if it's ever been implemented, and so I would petition my colleagues to take a look. If it's deemed valuable, maybe it hasn't. That's why it hasn't been initiated. But I have to wonder how much of that traffic going up and down Shaw Road is coming from unincorporated Pierce County and all of the massive development that's taken place out in that area? And if so, why have not we received some of the funding from those impact fees to mitigate the congestion that's happening in our city? I would imagine that there could be a way to identify if in fact this is just a wild conspiracy assumption, or if there's some validity data that could show that with some, those, what do you call those little tabs that you put in the road to see who's turning off here in Puyallup and who's going on back and forth. I would be willing to state that if in fact we could confirm that much of this traffic is coming from and into unincorporated Pierce County at a ratio that is disproportionate to our city, that a case could be made diplomatically and, if needed, legally to petition and or require that Pierce County share in the load of that impact to our residents who live here. So I'm not sure if there's any merit in this. It certainly would answer some questions that I think a lot of us wonder, but maybe need the data to what I call, put positive peer pressure on Pierce County and or perhaps challenge to them that there's a certain responsibility that you have to pay for improvement that is coming through our city. So, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if there's any merit to that. If anybody's got some comment on that, maybe they can add to it. Otherwise, it'll fall to the ground. So that's where I'm at on that.
Hans, please. I assume you have a pretty good answer to that. I assume we're trying to look at every collaborative relationship we possibly can on Shaw Road. Am I correct?
Yes, and we have some of the data already, Councilmember Johnson, from the comp plan and the traffic transportation element that's in there in the studies that were done as part of that. It looks at where the traffic is generated from, where is it going on those trips. So one of the things that you'll be seeing next year, early next year, with the traffic impact fee study is looking at where the trips are and possibly ways that development that occurs on either side of the line that affects the other side of a jurisdiction line could be compensated so that projects that are generated by growth, whether it's inside the city or outside, have funding to do the project.
Well, you say the studies have been done. Are there data to show that some of these things I'm suspecting are actually valid?
Well, yes, I would say yes. When we're looking at Shaw Road, I can't remember off the top of my head the percentages of the trips going through the intersections there and on down, but it's significant.
It's significant.
Yes.
Right. So I think the council should have that data on what that significant amount is so that we can have an opportunity to address that, ideally diplomatically, and then in other manners if in fact the diplomacy is not working. I'd like to see that data. I think we all deserve to see that data. Because I've been hearing about it for 10 years, and someone needs to address it, and I would sure love to see that data. And then maybe once we see that data, there might be at least some decisions that we could make to collaborate, if possible, or compel through other means. So I would like to see that.
Okay.
We'd like to see it, I think. So.
Absolutely. Done. Okay. Further questions, comments? Hearing, seeing none, we're now going to move for a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Hans. Let's move on to number 4, Ordinance 4A. This is the second reading. The last meeting we had was the first reading to extend interim zoning controls to accommodate middle housing. If any of you need a refresher, we have Katie Baker here. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve second reading.
Motion to approve second reading.
Do I have a second? I will second it. I'll remind people the vote last time was 5-2. Is there any discussion regarding this? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
No.
Okay. I think the vote is the same, 5-2. Let's move on to 4B, second reading of an ordinance.
Mr. Mayor,
Dan?
we will need to do a roll call vote for that.
Oh, I apologize. You're right, with second reading. With that, I stand corrected. Dan, please do roll call.
Councilmember Whitting,
Aye.
Councilmember Dorr, Councilmember Adler,
No.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor King,
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliam,
Aye.
Mayor Castro.
Aye. Okay, with that, we'll move on to 4B, second reading of an ordinance granting a franchise agreement to Forge Fiber 37 LLC. Again, it is the second reading. We heard this last week. I believe the vote was unanimous. Is there a motion to put this forward for second reading?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Councilmember Dorr, no comment.
No, I just was going to make the motion.
Okay, all right, well, thank you for that. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go directly to a roll call vote.
Councilmember Dorr,
Aye.
Councilmember Adler,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Whitting,
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliam,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor King,
Aye.
Mayor Castro.
Aye. Okay, we will now move on to 4C, a second reading of an ordinance pertaining to the 2025 routine budget adjustments. Barbara Lopez, Finance Director, is available for any questions. But if there are none, I would entertain a motion to approve on second reading.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, go directly to a roll call vote.
Councilmember Adler,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor King,
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliam,
Aye.
Councilmember Whitting,
Aye.
Councilmember Dorr,
Aye.
Mayor Castro.
Aye. Okay, now we will move to 4D. It's a second reading of an ordinance pertaining to parking time restrictions on city-owned parcels. And this is the one located at the old Black Kettle, then went on to the school district. Now we've acquired it. 208 West Main and 214 West Main. And this should free up parking, well, this will free up a significant number of spaces for retail parking in downtown. It will be time limited. Again, we're looking at a second reading of this. I'll entertain a motion to pass.
Move approval. Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go directly to a roll call vote.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor King,
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliam,
Aye.
Councilmember Whitting,
Aye.
Councilmember Dorr,
Aye.
Councilmember Adler,
Aye.
Mayor Castro.
Aye. So let's move on to number 5, consideration and request. Presentation on Bradley Lake Park Playground Replacement Project and authorization to apply for a Recreation and Conservation Office Local Parks Grant. Cody Geddes will introduce this request. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Cody Geddes, Parks and Recreation Director. Excited to be presenting this on Councilmember Dorr's last meeting. The Bradley Lake Playground replacement, kind of a community favorite ready for its next chapter. The Bradley Lake Park Playground is now 20 years old and is showing its signs of wear and tear. And so we'll go through some of these photos and kind of look at why we're looking at replacing Bradley Lake Park. Definitely one of the favorite playgrounds here in the city, often very, very packed with kids of all ages playing up there at all times of day, even during the school day. It's interesting. So the city's looking to pursue an RCO Local Parks grant to kind of create this next level of what Bradley Lake Playground looks like. The current condition and why we're looking at replacing it is kind of, you can see the aging and the color quality, and also the wood chipped area there in the center is looking at replacing it with a more inclusive play surfacing. At the time, in 2004, when this opened, it was kind of the premier accessible playground. Won an award at the Washington Recreation and Parks Association state level, and it's just kind of past its prime at this point. And so Replacing it will also, as we move forward, will allow us to relocate all of the swings into the center and replace the wood chipped area with a poured-in-place rubber surfacing. This is kind of a look at what the playground, the first look at the design of the new playground would look like. This aligns with kind of RCO's priority to increase accessibility and outdoor play. We also feel that this playground itself has been the park, Bradley Lake Park has been an RCO project in the past. And so they really like seeing improvements on parks that they've already funded. And so we think this is a great project to present to RCO. The city has already, we have $500,000 allocated next year in the budget to replace Bradley Lake. And so we feel like this project here is the best way to maximize those dollars. One thing we talked about is kind of that center area where there's wood chips and a different style playground is replacing it with all the swings. So taking out the current swings that are in the original poured-in-place service area and kind of creating this new swing zone with an inclusive merry-go-round feature and then some of these accessible features along the side. And then replacing that swing area with this kind of giant net climber we don't really have one of these kind of in our inventory within other parks. So something different, and we think that it will be kind of a regional destination play area. So our next steps will be to finalize the concept and the design, get some community input over the next few months, and in April is when we would submit to RCO. If we do get a grant from RCO, we'll hear back in late September of 2026, and hopefully we would have construction planned for 2027 if we receive these grant funds. And the resolution tonight, we're asking for authorization for staff to apply for an RCO grant at Bradley Lake Park. Questions?
Questions? Councilmember Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to speak to this. Are you looking for a motion?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd like to leave that up to Councilmember Dorr to make the motion.
Sounds good. I'll do that.
Okay, so with that let's make the motion and then we'll engage in conversation if we feel comfortable with that. If there's any doubt, Councilmember Dorr, are you okay with that?
I move approval.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to that. I support this, not just partially and really not just wholeheartedly, but just enthusiastically. I mean, I just think this is fantastic. That's been a real gem of a park. I remember the council that was in place when this property was purchased. It was really a lot of foresight to attain this much property, really in a sense, kind of in a small area or a footprint, and to pass that by would have been just, a tragedy. So I want to honor and thank the council and the public for supporting that. And I've heard some great things about all of our parks, but specifically the new design in our Van Lyric Park, just a smashing hit. And so I think, refreshing this with a kind of a little bit more complex, newer, updated kind of options will generate, no doubt, increased renewed traffic to that area from constituents who live in the area, and inviting friends to go to the park and enjoy those facilities. And so it's just really wonderful. I certainly support this. And I'd like to see us really, in a sense, be a city that we're already known for our parks, but to really, in a sense, to put them in a high priority. Because really, when we do that, Mayor and Council, we're prioritizing families and children. And why wouldn't we want to really wholeheartedly embrace an environment that provides some great playgrounds for our children and families to enjoy public recreation? And then think about the other things that happen, at parks. You meet new friends. You meet new constituents that you strike up a conversation. Moms talk to other moms and dads and grandpas and whatever. So it creates this kind of public engagement around playground and parks that I think is healthy to a vibrant community. We live in we live in a time where everybody's kind of so isolated with our headsets and our iPads and our phones that we're really not engaging people around you. And so when you have parks, where you're engaging in some of these things, it allows for conversations to flow, which are healthy and wonderful to human interaction. We're really designed to be communicating and engaging with those around us. So this is a setting that really provides that. And so, again, I wholeheartedly, really support this. And I would challenge you to take this vision and to look at other parts of our city where the parks could use a refresher. And probably Wildwood Park would be one that I think we should be looking at. That one is underutilized potential. That's right in Councilmember Doerr's area there. That could use a refresh there. So let's be aggressive and let's move forward to, even though it may seem expensive, sometimes that step of faith or whatever you want to call it, you step out, the funds come. And so we want to prioritize that. So let's continue to do that. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Thank you for teeing it up. I believe you're going to find that there's overwhelming support and there will be overwhelming, response from the city to enjoy that with their children and families and grandchildren. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Gilliam.
Thank you, Mayor Castma. Cody, I just want to say I love this idea. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the community input. The rough design here is very intriguing. But what I actually really wanted to say is I have a thank you letter from Ferrucci Junior High and the whole cross-country team, because Bradley Lake is utilized, of course, by local families, but also it's supportive of the Puyallup School District. The local schools still host their cross-country finale. So if it's okay, I'd like to read this to you and then give it to you. And I hope you feel the whole team, the whole Parks Department team is just a huge thank you. So it says, I wanted to thank you for letting our district cross-country team use Bradley Lake Park area for our conference cross-country meet on October 16th. It was such a perfect location for that event. We really appreciate your generosity in providing that space for free. Sincerely, FJH cross-country team and FJH Power Team leadership students. And there's a bunch of personalized notes from the students that participated. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you. I think it's safe to say everybody in Puyallup loves Bradley Lake, and by revitalizing the play area, hopefully it'll push out any negative behavior and replace it with a lot of family and positive activity like cross-country races. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I think he's speechless. Councilmember Doerr.
Thank you. So obviously, I'm hugely supportive of this, and I'm looking at Hans because he knows where I'm going with that. So it's a great park, and there's tons of people, and I really want to see that path connected. So we got the sidewalk, now let's get the kids connected over so that they can get to the park without having to without cars. Connect that side to Bradley Lake. My question is on the Friendship Swing, which I may or may not have been on. And so will the chips be replaced underneath that? Because I will tell you, I'm 5'5", and I would have, my friend and I have a video trying to figure out how we're going to get this swing to go, because we couldn't touch it. We couldn't touch below with the chips. So will you have the Friendship Swing, will it have this other kind of surface underneath it?
I can't get the mic to turn back on, but we can certainly add that to the scope of work.
Okay.
It wasn't in this original design, but we can certainly add that in.
Okay, so that was an idea I brought back from a conference in LA, but and it's great for all ages. I mean, that's what it's intended for, but I just know that there's a lot of kids up there. I had to wait my turn for a very long time, so I don't know how they are having that push off. So it would be great if we could address that. And Hans, I will still come visit you until I get my path. Thank you.
And the path, I think, is at 60% design. We're working on it.
Okay. Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Cody, for all that you do in our city. And this presentation was amazing. I love this park design. I love what you are doing here with upgrading all of our toys and infrastructure there for our kids, and it is a well-used park, and our family goes there ourselves and partakes in a lot of the amenities there. And so I appreciate how well you and your team take care of our parks and notice the need when the time comes to replace certain parts of our wonderful park system. And, I've only been on council for 4 years, but I can say that we truly do have one of the best park systems in the state. And I think our citizens realize that. So I just want to applaud you. I know you stepped into this role not too long ago, and I just want to say thank you for picking up the torch and meeting all the expectations that our citizens and our staff and our council here expect of our city parks department. So thank you, and I'm in full support of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Councilmember Whitting.
I just have to pile on here too. I live in, that's 3rd District up there, so that's the district I represent, and I walk regularly from home through Pierce College campus and over to Bradley Lake and circle the lake, and it's a nice, pleasant walk, and I always enjoy walking past the playground there, and there's always a ton of kids there, and they're always having a good time, and the moms are chatting, and it's just a real community gathering place and fun place for the kids. So love that we're keeping the facilities up to snuff, and look forward to seeing the new rendition. Thank you for this work.
Thank you. The motion is before us. If there is no further discussion? Oh, I apologize. Councilmember Adler. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Thank you. Cody, I'll be brief and just say thank you again to you and your staff. Obviously, I don't need to belabor the point and many of the comments that my colleagues have shared, but, parks make a difference. I grew up, obviously was born and grew up here in Puyallup. I spent a lot of time in our parks. I'm a product of our parks. I grew up next, just steps away from DeCourcy Park when it used to be metal and really hot on hot days and burned me. And I always loved coming to Pioneer Park when it used to be a red big toy. And we also used to have the wading pool. It was like the best days of the year is when I got to go to Pioneer Park, hit up the wading pool, and go to the library, the old library. And, the impact that spending time in nature, in our city, at our parks had on me was obviously transformational. And I'm just so grateful that we continue to put our families and our youth at the center, and we continue to invest in our parks. So thank you for your leadership. It is sincerely appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Seeing no further requests to comment, we will go ahead and go to a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Excellent. Passes unanimously. Let's now move on to number 6. We have 2 items under other business. 6A is an informational presentation on drones as first responders for a program by the Puyallup Police. Chief Engel will come forward. Captain Visnow will also come forward with the presentation. Please.
Mayor Castema, members of the council, Scott Engel, Chief of Police. First, thanks for your time tonight. Our presentation is strictly informational in delivery. We are looking for your feedback and thoughts on our program that we're presenting tonight. Captain Visna will give the presentation on drone as first responder. I think many of you on council know that our department was one of the first in Western Washington to use drones as part of our tools that we use in our community when dealing with critical incidents. Drone as first responder is the next evolution of that. There's a couple other cities using drones as first responder, and we'll talk about what that means during Captain Visna's presentation. and be able to answer your questions about what drone as first responders looks like. In the bigger context, if you remember several years back during police reform time from the state legislature, one of the emphasis areas for law enforcement was the use of technology to hopefully help us avoid problematic contacts, the use of technology to better respond to calls, the use of technology to better fight crime. And drones has been a big part of that for us in Puyallup. Captain Visna has been really the brains behind the entire operation of drones since day one, and has done an amazing job in overseeing that program, watching that program grow, and making what it is in Puyallup today. He, along with our pilots, are regularly sought out by other agencies for our expertise. We've been at this a while now, and so agencies that are getting into the drone business, so to speak, regularly reach out to us. But with that, I'll turn it over to Captain Visna, who will take us through drone as first responder. At the end, there will be a time for questions, but if you have questions as we go along, as always, please ask. Captain Visna.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thanks for the opportunity to do this. I'm going to just provide a brief overview of our current program and kind of where we want to go in the future. As I said, I'll try to keep it brief, but at the end of the presentation, if any of you are left wanting, just let me know. I can talk about this for hours. This first slide is just a picture of our program presentation at One Puyallup. We set up a booth at One Puyallup. It's a great opportunity for us to chat with the kids and let them know, how do we use the drones, what do we use them for. Really quick, our policy allows us to use these tools to protect life and property. We use them in accordance with constitutional and privacy rights and in accordance with the FAA regulations. All of our pilots are FAA Part 107 certified remote pilots. What do we use them for? Our mission types. We use them for search and rescue missions. We use them to apprehend fleeing suspects. We use them for overwatch. An example of that would be a canine track in progress. We would have a drone overhead that's scanning the area ahead of the canine track, looking for any threats to the canine team that are out ahead. Another example is the fair. We use drone for overwatch over the fair, and the way that works is there are, on busy days of the fair, there's a lot of traffic coming in and out of the city. So ingress and egress are a very delicate dance. And so having the drone overhead to monitor those critical control points is been a huge benefit. Historically, we've had a supervisor responsible for ingress and egress, monitoring those critical control points. The supervisor has had to drive around to monitor them in person, and you can imagine when traffic is very heavy how long it takes that person to get to those critical control points. We can monitor all of them from one location and in real time. Natural disasters, an example, everybody is concerned about the lahar in the valley. We are prepared to respond to a lahar, monitor, is there anyone out there who needs help? We also use them for the lahar drills, where we evacuate all of the students in the valley to higher ground, just to monitor those movements. And speaking of natural disasters, one of the other concerns is the flooding of the Puyallup River, which is pretty timely today. We had a drone up today monitoring that flooding. One of the really cool things about that is the drone flies from city limits to city limits along the river, monitoring where that water is going. That's a great tool for the future because we can say this overflight was at 26.33 feet on the meter. So we know if we have a forecast of 26.33 feet, we have a video of exactly where that water is going to go at that level. So it's really nice for the future. Enclosed areas. An example of that is a residence or a business where we need to go in to search. We may be looking for a person, or we may just be going in to make sure that there are no threats inside. Historically, that search has been done with a person, with one of our officers. We do not send an officer through a doorway anymore without sending a drone in first. So the drone is able to go in, usually clear 80 to 90% of the interior before sending an actual officer through the door. So can you imagine the increase in officer safety that provides us? The drones actually document crime scenes and collision scenes. What we used to do with a laser and a post can be done from a drone overhead, flying a pre-planned mission, takes a bunch of photos. All those photos are imported into software that creates a 3D model. It really saves us a lot of time for that. We also assist the fire department. We respond to fires with them. Many of our drones have infrared technology, so it really helps the fire department with identifying where their hot spots are. We flew over the cold storage fire and were able to direct them so that they knew where to put the water. Some facts about our team. We have 10 licensed pilots, and this is a collateral duty. So our pilots come from anywhere where their regular duties are as a patrol officer, as a detective, as a traffic enforcement officer, things like that. So this is an extra duty for them. Team structure is a little bit, there's a captain in oversight over the team, that's me, and we have a chief pilot that takes care of the day-to-day duties, training, and maintenance, things like that. We currently operate 17 aircraft. The plus one there is we have one aircraft that doesn't actually belong to us. It belongs to a task force, but it's assigned to one of our detectives who is on the task force. We started this program in 2018 with 3 aircraft and 2 pilots. I was one of them. Your deputy chief was the other. And we now have 10 pilots and 17 aircraft that we fly. We are members of the Law Enforcement Drone Association. That's LEDA. LEDA is a national organization. They're responsible for developing model policies and procedures, best practices, and they provide very excellent training for our pilots. So the benefits, situational awareness, we've kind of already talked about that, putting a drone through the door, finding out what's on the other side before we send a body through the door. The FAIR Overwatch is another great example. Overwatch over a canine track is another really good example of that. We can get eyes on a situation without putting a body in danger. And so another example, we have a report of a person who's armed. We can put a drone up, get eyes on that person, see if they're actually armed, and if they are, develop a plan without having to send officers into harm's way. It's a de-escalation tool. Back to that same example, an armed person. The use of the drones allow us to develop a plan to de-escalate that situation without putting officers in harm's way or members of the public in harm's way. So there's an example of that later that I'm going to show you. This is a quick example of an interior search. Just a little bit of background. This is a search warrant. We have our SWAT team outside the door. They're going to send the drone in first to search for any people. By the time this happens, the SWAT team has breached the door. They've been making announcements, calling if there's anyone inside, come out now. All this, they've been doing this for a little while, and now it's time to send the drone in just to see if there's anybody in there that's not coming out. So I'll just narrate this really quick. Drone comes through the door. You can see there's kind of a closed door back there. They can get into very tight spaces, which you're going to see in just a minute here. So spaces that are really dangerous for the officers going in, you can see the curtain is closed on the tub shower there. You can actually get the drone in and see what's behind that. Now, finding that that's safe, the officer's going to continue his search. You can't really see it on the video, but what he sees there when he gets up close to the door is he sees there's a person in there. So he retreats the drone and they start calling the person out again. Hopefully the person has seen or heard the drone. Maybe they'll comply now.
Excuse me, how big is that drone?
Just using my hand, it's about this big.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure you saw the shadow on the wall. It's pretty small.
Just, yeah, I was kind of amazed.
So we get the person out safely. Now the pilot's going to go in, scan that bedroom, see if there's anybody else inside. And everyone keeps a pressure washer in their bedroom, I think. So that's an example of an interior search. You kind of see how much safer that makes our officers. That's the highest point with this program is its enhancement to officer safety. It's huge.
Wow.
So this is an example of what I kind of talked about with an armed person. This person was an armed suicidal. They called 911 to say they were suicidal and that they had a gun, and that if they saw a police officer, they were going to point the gun at them so that the police officers would shoot them. So our officers developed a plan. They staged throughout the area, but nowhere in sight of this person, and launched a drone. So this is drone footage from that call. They're getting this person in touch with a designated crisis responder, working with them. But this is kind of what they were seeing from the drone footage. Just check, is he actually armed? There you see it, there's the gun, he's pointing it. So they're taking this very seriously. They spent over an hour negotiating with this person, never with an officer within eyesight of this person. And they were able to safely detain him and get him some mental health treatment.
So I'm sorry, the drone talked to him?
No.
Okay.
They were on the phone with him.
Phone, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, do drones carry voice at all?
We have drones that have speakers on them that can broadcast a message. We don't have any now with two-way communication. They do exist. We just don't have any.
Understand.
This is just an example of how we, find fleeing suspects. We have, as I mentioned, we have several drones that have infrared technology. So, not to play the whole video for you to take that time, but this is just a snapshot of the video where the pilot found the person that ran from a stolen car with a backpack full of drugs. And this area that this person was found in this is about 11 o'clock at night and a very brushy area. We would have never found this person. We search for missing persons or horses. This is kind of an example. These horses, very valuable horses, fled from the fair. The fireworks at the fair spooked them, and they took off. Our pilots launched the drones, and they were actually able to find the horses and make sure that they were returned safely. But we do search for missing people quite often. Unfortunately, there's, an example would be an Alzheimer's or dementia patient that is out of their zone of safety, and we do conduct a lot of searches like that. So this is where we talk about what is next. This is an example of the equipment involved in a drone as first responder program. This is we call this a docked drone. That dock, so to speak, is mounted to a rooftop at a fixed location. Often agencies with DFR programs have docks mounted to locations throughout their city in strategic locations so that they can respond quickly. On the left side, the dock is closed. On the right side, the dock has opened. That drone is sitting there ready to respond. So a call comes in, the drone responds to a call for service, the dock opens, it flies its mission, it returns to the dock, lands in the dock, and then the dock closes, and then the dock is weatherproof and actually recharges the drone for its next mission. So what is DFR? DFR was a term that was coined by the Chula Vista, California Police Department back in 2018. Chula Vista pioneered this concept where they thought, we're going to fly drones to calls. We can probably get there faster. We can get some good intelligence while officers are responding. And so they began doing that. The way they did it was they had drones with a person on a rooftop and a person in an office that's actually flying the drone. The person on the rooftop was keeping visual line of sight of the drone. Those were the FAA rules back then, and swapping batteries when the drone returned. We have been researching this technology, this concept since 2022. And I personally am part of a Pacific Northwest DFR work group with agencies all the way from Everett down to Eugene, Oregon, where we get together and talk about the agencies that are doing it already, providing insight, what have been their challenges, things like that. So we've been doing that since August of 2024. So this is what our proof of concept. We wanted to work a few shifts that were DFR-like so that we could figure out, is DFR something that would be beneficial to our agency and our city? So we set up, you might recognize what that is. That's the roof of this building. And they set up with an easy up, their computers, a drone, and a battery charger, and Ethernet. So we scheduled four DFR shifts. We'll call this low rent DFR. They set up 4 shifts. They worked a total of 25 hours. And they responded to a total of 29 calls for service. 22 of those calls for service were dispatched. That means 7 of them were not dispatched calls. An example of that would be a police officer who conducts a traffic stop, and they would determine that we'll launch the drone and provide overwatch over that police officer conducting their traffic stop. So the 22 actual dispatch calls for service, they were first on scene 18 times, or 82% of the time they were first on scene. The dispatched officer was canceled 10 of those times. That's 45% of the calls that they flew to. They were able to tell the dispatched officer, you're no longer needed on scene. Why would they do that? There might be a call of a suspicious vehicle or a suspicious person, and the drone gets there first and can see that that person's no longer there. And so in the interest of efficiency, the officer that's dispatched the call can now reroute to another pending call. When they wouldn't do that is when the person calling in wants to speak to an officer. So when a person calls in to South Sound 911 and gives them information and they create a call, they ask the person, do you want contact from a police officer? And they say yes, or they say, no, I have a piano lesson in 5 minutes, so no. If they say yes, a police officer shows up. That's our policy. So in that case, they would not cancel the officer. So this is an example of the flight station. So from that dock, that drone is being flown by a person sitting in an office that looks like this. They have radio communications, and then they have their dashboard, which shows their drone response. They're looking at airspace. They're looking at the CAD, and some even have a live 911 screen where they're getting 911 calls transcripted in real time on their screen. This is an example of a transparency portal. So this is Redmond Police Department's transparency portal. This is a public-facing, real-time portal that shows the public what they're responding to, what are their response times, what kind of calls are they, and things like that. All right, so I'm going to warn you. I'm going to provide some background on this, but this is a video, and the first little clip of this is kind of loud. The rest of it it'll even out. So watch your ears. Some of you may have seen this. We posted this on our social media. This was October 23rd of this year, and this was the final of our 4 proof of concept DFR shifts that this happened. So, little background, the pilots are directly above us. They get an alert from one of our LPR cameras that a stolen vehicle just passed the camera. So they launch and they go look for the stolen vehicle, they find it, and they're going to tell the patrol officers on the ground, keep them updated on where it's at.
Air 1. Air 1. Well, we're going to be in the area of East Pioneer and 7th Street, working westbound for a suspicious vehicle via flock breaker plate. Plates attached to a silver Ford Taurus.
So the pilot's flying, the visual observer is the one talking on the radio.
And everyone, I believe we have eyes on. It's westbound. It just passed PD.
3719.
So this is one of our officers that intercepts the car.
363, I'm behind it.
Oh, what happened? My apologies.
And everyone, I believe we have eyes on. It's westbound. It just passed PD.
3719.
What I wanted to point out here is that you're going to see this officer's vehicle is equipped with Star Chase. That's the GPS darts that we use to tag a vehicle so that we can avoid a pursuit.
That's where you shoot a projectile, correct?
Right here. Did you see it?
It attaches.
It attaches to the vehicle.
You're going to find this very hard to believe, but I was right when this happened.
It's northbound.
You may even see me. I saw this happen. Right by the parking garage, I saw him fly over the railroad tracks. Must have been going 100+ miles per hour.
So what you'll see here is you see the officer lit up the vehicle, it took off, and then right about here is where he's going to turn his lights off and not pursue because we have a GPS tracker on the car now, and we have a drone in the air that's monitoring the car.
Looking Sound Transit Center.
Northbound passing Sound Transit.
363, Star Chase deployed. Took off on APC for looting.
So that's the officer that was behind him saying, I have PC for eluding, but I'm not
White
going
male
to
driver, 30s, dark, stubbly beard. It's northbound 4th Street, approaching River. I'm shut down, not chasing. Everyone, we still have eyes on eastbound. He is eastbound from 4th on the river.
Copy eastbound River from 4th Street.
Everyone, he crashed and we have a footbail from Verizon working north through the parking lot. He's behind the Starbucks now.
Copy crash out football from the Verizon northbound Starbucks.
So you're taking a wide turn on River Road and you hit in the left turn lane head on.
I'll try to
Scan area. Suspect is garbage can area. Outside of Freddy's. He's working on westbound towards the Woodline.
Copy at the Woodline.
Southbound back towards River.
Southbound back towards River.
Okay, one look above, we have clear on. He's, the west side of the building, working his way, towards the river.
This guy?
East.
No, pick up.
The west side of the
This guy?
block.
Oh, no. Turn up. Send the three up shop.
Copy, working back towards River, west side check.
So the three up shop.
Get your hands behind your back, dude. Come out here. The hand?
Okay, that's pretty much the end. So, a couple of things.
I was at the corner of Stewart. Just as you go over the railroad tracks, I saw a gray Taurus fly over, like I say, there was a pursuit eventually of a police car. No, I saw that. I wondered what happened to it. Didn't know it was on video.
Yeah, there you go.
Amazing.
So some really cool things to point out about this is it's multiple pieces of technology working together to provide a successful outcome. We had the LPR camera that alerted us to the stolen car. We had the Star Chase dart that attached to the car so that we can monitor the car's location without pursuing. And then we have the drone overhead monitoring the car's movements. And unfortunately, it was a collision. Thankfully, no injuries. But that allowed the drone to catch up and catch up to the person and get him into custody. One note, that car right there that you see with the headlights on, that was a mother who had pulled up to the restaurant to just run in and pick up food really quick, left her kids in the car. He tried to steal that car, but thankfully she locked it. But he tried to steal it with the kids in it. That's all I have. Any questions?
Councilmember Dorr.
Thank you. You know we have to go out with some questions here, guys. So my first question is, so we currently have drones. How does this proposal change what we're currently doing? Is it adding capacity? Are we changing the capacity? What is that doing?
Yeah, so what we have now is what we call a patrol-led drone program. So we have drones that are issued out to the pilots. They carry them with them. Not all of them have drones issued to them. Some of our more unique drones are staged at the station for pilots to go and pick them up. It's a lengthy process if that's what they're doing. For the ones that are in their cars, we don't have pilots on duty all the time. So what this does for us is it's really a force multiplier. This person that's in that office is prepared to respond to any call at the drop of a hat. When the drone is told to launch, it's about a 10-second delay before it's actually in the air, and it's very quick. Taking a drone out to the scene, the officer has to get there first, then pull the drone out, set it up, and launch the drone. Now we've lost one of the officers that we had on scene because now he's piloting the drone. He's not going to be in a perimeter position or doing any other task other than flying that drone. So there are a lot of benefits to having the drones posted, strategic locations ready to go, and a pilot that's in a controlled environment. No security risks around the pilot. The pilot can focus and provide updates to the officers on the ground.
So if there were two situations going on, can one pilot do two? If we had something on South Hill and something down here in the valley?
So we're talking about a very rapidly evolving field. This is becoming very popular in law enforcement, and an agency did just get a waiver from the FAA to fly 4 drones at once. So having 4 different calls going at the same time with one pilot. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that, but I probably would be okay with 2.
So is that, so the drone operator, the drone pilot, is the one that is communicating with the dispatcher.
Or the officers on the ground, either way.
Okay, because I'm like, how would you run 2 calls with, I'm very impressed, but I'm just like, my brain's clicking, trying to figure out how all of these pieces connect. So would it be, are we going to need additional staff, or is this saving resources?
So that's a good question. We haven't got there yet. We have submitted a grant for some drone detection equipment. We use drone detection equipment every year at the fair because, as we know, a nefarious drone operation is an emerging threat. And so we try to be on top of that with drone detection. There's a federal grant right now that's open for drone detection equipment. With that comes the ability to apply for FTEs. And so we want an FTE to be able to monitor that equipment, be the expert about that equipment, and be a DFR pilot if we need one.
Add to that for Councilmember Dorr. Councilmember Dorr, as we demonstrated through the kind of proof of concept, we did that with our staff that we have currently. And as we continue to go down this road to see the benefits for our community, we would do that with our current staff that we have. We don't have any immediate plans for adding additional staff unless it was a grant that we actually won. They're very competitive, but we are at least trying on the grant front as well. But absent a grant, we would use the current staff that we have.
Well, it sounds to me like there is the potential, for the efficiency, the fact that you can call off, divert an officer from responding to a call, that there's some efficiencies in that.
That's absolutely correct, and that's a big driver of this as we look forward 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road. Law enforcement doesn't get any cheaper, and so we're looking for ways to provide efficiency for our community, be able to get on scene quicker, be able to provide information to the responding officers, or if a responding officer is not needed, a responding officer is an expensive proposition for the city, we have other things that we can do with those officers in a more efficient manner. So much of this from the business side is driven by how do we use the resources that we have and how do we use them even better for our community. Drone as first responder allows us to check several of those boxes around efficiency and good utilization of the resources that we currently have.
And obviously I've only seen this presentation, but it seems to me like there is the potential that it's obviously safer for officers, but also the public, because that officer they know what they're going into, as opposed to being a little bit more, not that you're not always heightened, but I think it seems like there's an opportunity that's like as a de-escalation tool, that it keeps both parties safe.
100% correct. As we showed through the just one example of the subject in crisis who was suicidal, us showing up on the scene sometimes can ramp up the situation. We know that, right? So we're looking for ways to utilize technology where that incident, if you will, or that crisis is safer for the person who's in crisis and safer for the responding officers. Does it work every time? No, it doesn't work every time, but even if it works one time, that's a great success for us. So the drone allows us that time to hopefully maybe allow the person to calm down, allow our negotiators and our crisis responders, you all know are very up to speed on our DCR program, allows those people some opportunity to try to help those people in crisis. Going back to what the legislature asked several years ago in the use of technology was exactly that. Allow us more opportunity for de-escalation. Allow us more of an opportunity to, if you will, lessen the opportunity where force may be used. Allow us more time to be able to use non-traditional police resources such as mental health responders, crisis responders, and hopefully in an environment where we still can get the information we need by a drone overhead, but allow them to continue to do their work with a person in crisis.
Okay, and so then this doesn't change the change in protocol for this is not at South Sound 911. They're going to dispatch as normal. And then your officer, your drone officer, or whoever would make the determination to call off an officer?
That's correct. Again, highlighting that point that Captain Visna brought up, many times citizens will ask for contact with officers. You'll always have an officer on scene when a citizen asks for contact by an officer. But there are many calls that South Sound receives where someone is reporting something and they are not interested in contact by an officer. There's situations where we can use technology to respond to that and essentially cancel the officer responding, or provide information to the officer responding and get things in for a better outcome as they are responding.
So my question is geared around the fact that, and I've given this speech quite a bit about the local control and responses, that our chiefs are still determining, what kind of response we get. And so by this being a little bit different, that does not change. You're still in charge. South Sound 911 is not making a decision to call off an officer.
That's correct.
So it's our officers.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think I'm intrigued to see how the public, from my citizen seat, I'm intrigued to see how this goes. I'm impressed with the program and the potential uses of it. And not to make it about me, but as as this council knows, that when I was assaulted, I don't know if you know, that it was a drone that was up in the air that helped capture the person that was running, with a weapon running through people's, neighborhood. That drone, I'm a fan of drones. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I support this and would even express more intensive advancement and expansion of this within our city. And I would support whatever that looks like. Curious on what's the range on these typically?
So with most things technological, it can vary widely. The officers on the rooftop, for example, are just using a remote controller. The range on that is about 1.5 miles. And that's, it goes on up to using LTE to fly the drones where the range is unlimited. It's only limited by the battery life of the drone. Mm-hmm. So
I would support, again, getting more of those that have unlimited so that maybe there could be some jurisdiction sharing. So if you started with that and all of a sudden you run out of range, they've left the scene. We can continue to move that as kind of in a sense, like the older deals of a helicopter in the sky, which is much more expensive and slow responsive. This could, if they flew out of the city, there could be opportunity if another jurisdiction wanted to pick it up. They could certainly do that. You could give intel to them as they're pursuing it, so that might be helpful. So I would support some of those that have, in a sense, unlimited. I also am intrigued by that one car that had that particular, whatever they, dart, something they shot at it, whatever, to kind of track it. I didn't realize that we had that. That's wonderful. I like that. Are there other technologies that the city of Puyallup has or could have that would defuse fleeing, such as I've seen some of those ones where they have nets to hit the tire and cause that thing just to lock up right now? Do we have other alternatives besides the dart that we could implement and de-escalate pursuit through a little bit more of aggressive term that would just take care of that right now?
We don't use the grappler, as it's called, or the net feature. You have to have a particular brand and model of patrol car to be able to use that, and we don't use those here in Puyallup. Mm-hmm. Our research on that particular technology, Councilmember Johnson, it's very effective in more of a straight line, high-speed freeway type of situation. City scenarios where there's lots of turns, maybe not as successful. We have used Star Chase. That's our first venture out to use technology in a pursuit environment. We have, I believe, 8 patrol cars equipped with that technology. The idea, again, of that technology is that it's a hockey puck-looking device, comes out, and we're able to back off and track that person via GPS coordinates rather than have a pursuit that might endanger us, the community, or frankly, the driver of the car that's fleeing. We are looking at other technologies that are emerging. This is an area where I would tell you that technology companies are looking closely on how they can help law enforcement as well as communities be safe in a pursuit scenario.
So along that line, let's say you get one of those darts in there and it goes out of our jurisdiction. Do we at that point just give up and say, oh, they got away with one of our darts? Or are there other jurisdictions that say, hey, we'll continue to track this? Or do we go outside of our jurisdiction? Give me an idea what we do with that if they go outside the city limits.
So we actually go outside the city limits. Our officers are never in pursuit of a vehicle. They're following back at some distance. We don't want the fleeing offender to see us because that sometimes causes them to drive dangerously again. So we will continue to follow the dart, if you will, wherever it goes until it comes to a stationary location. At the same time, we're also alerting those agencies that we have a vehicle for whatever reason that we're attempting to pursue it or not, and ask for their assistance. And the great majority of times, they're usually available to assist us. And we've had this happen a number of times where someone may be fleeing a crime that they've committed. Our officers are actually trained, if they have a car that's fleeing a crime scene, to use the dart before we ever put the lights on, because we'd rather not be in a pursuit scenario trying to launch the dart. In this video, that was a great example of that officer. It was very smart to say, I'm not going to turn on my lights, I'm not going to do anything, I'm going to get the dart out first and hope that we can track that car rather than pursue that car via technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Well, again, I would support any technology that helps us defuse the situation effectively and efficiently as possible. Another example of this, of course, I suspect you guys use stun guns or whatever. Do you guys implement that?
We do. All of our officers carry tasers.
Tasers, yeah. So again, I would support things along that line that defuse it without some harsher methods, even with pursuits. Anything we can do to de-escalate and still capture. That's what we're after. I mean, it's one thing to back off and then they escape. What the hell did that just do? The whole idea is to diffuse, track, and then pounce and just get it. Surprise. How did you know I was here? Well, because we have that. So I would say if we had long-range drones and they pursued outside of the deal, if we're holding back, that long-range drone can continue to monitor, say they got out of the car, didn't get out of the car. That would be crucial. Without those two together, the dart and long range, I don't know how effective. So I don't know what the budget is for those, but let's look at some grants and find a way to do that, because I think, to me, that sends a message. At least I'm speaking for myself. You do bad deeds in Puyallup, and we're going to track you down. If you want to do that in other jurisdictions and they don't have the priority, that's fine. But if you even go outside of our city, we're going to continue to move and report and attain you. Bad behavior needs to be addressed, at least in our town, and I support this. So it's fantastic. I love it. Great. Yeah, I'm impressed. I like it. Continue to be proactive. Let us know how we can be reactive to give you another tool. I mean, I think it was mentioned earlier, it's a tool. And law enforcement should have every tool within their ability to control a situation that could escalate. And you shouldn't be without tools that it can make your job do better and safer for not only themselves, but for others in the community around them. So I support this. I know there's some people who are concerned about, privacy or, whatever invasion. But I've always felt like if you do the right thing, there's nothing to be afraid of. You do bad behavior, of course, it's going to invade your privacy, but you violated that through your bad actions. So you really don't have any privacy at this point. You violated the law, and so you're going to be tracked. So I tend to support that, and those that are concerned about that, just don't do bad things and you'll be fine. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Just a quick note for council. The FAA sets many rules on the uses of drones, and we are compliant with all FAA rules. All of our pilots are FAA licensed pilots. That's not just you get a card to fly a drone. You actually have to pass a test to know what you're doing, and so very proud of our folks. But to be clear for council, there are a number of FAA rules that we comply with. Our pilots have to know those rules at all times, and we have to report our compliance to the FAA for the drone program.
Thank you. Councilmember Whitting, then Councilmember Adler.
I just had some questions about how the system works. You've got those base stations. I'm assuming that the operator can deploy those drones remotely. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed the picture. There was the picture of the office with the big monitors in there and the keyboard. That's where the pilot is flying from. So he's launching, or she is launching the drone from that dock, from that office.
Yeah. So would you station these base stations around the city so that you can get quicker deployment, or would they be coming from a central position?
Yeah. So we've been researching this. What we believe is a good way to start is one here at City Hall and one up on South Hill. They would have dual coverage of some area where one could fly or the other. But we think that that's probably a good place to start. And we think that we would keep those drones busy probably.
Yeah, and if you had your Christmas wish list out there, how many of these space stations do you think you'd like to have?
Probably 2 per site, so that there's backup for one while it's charging in case we have 2 back-to-back priority calls.
So they're adequate going east-west?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, just with the remote controller, they've got about 1.5 mile range. If you draw 1.5 mile radius on this city, it pretty much covers. If you have 2 of them, one north, one south, it pretty much covers the whole city. But we can get longer range than that with other methods, external antennas, things like that.
Yeah. What's the cost of one of those base stations?
That one that was up there, that is part of a subscription service. So just like with the technology, the pricing varies widely because some vendors vend as a subscription service, and then you could also just buy this other product and set it up yourself and run the program yourself. But the subscription services are more robust. They take care of all of the maintenance, reporting requirements, the waivers with the FAA, everything. And they also, just like our tasers and our body cams, they come with replacement. So new technology comes out, we get the new technology because we're paying that subscription service. So just to give you an idea, a subscription service for one of those docks is about $55,000 a year.
That's pricey, but that's definitely something that, in terms of a force multiplier, you compare that to a police officer, and that's a pretty economical deal.
Councilmember Whitting, Captain Visnow is being very gracious in his response. The other way to do it is we do it ourselves without using a vendor. Captain Visnow's knowledge of the drone world, the FAA rules around that and the reporting requirements, we believe we can actually do it in-house for both docks, the computer software that we do need, the compliance reporting and all of that for probably under $100,000 paid for and done. The subscription services, the catch that they want you to subscribe to is that if something happens, they take care of everything. That's very pricey. But if we do it ourselves, because we do have the significant internal knowledge that Captain Visnow has with this, we believe that we can do it internally much, much cheaper than a subscription service. And actually we would not pursue a subscription service at this point because we can do it in-house.
So you're not going to pursue, huh? Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Adler.
Thank you. Excuse me. I just have to say thank you again for implementing technology and for being so forthcoming in what the technology does and sharing, in particular, the incident that took place on October 23rd on social media, which is where I first saw that video clip. You know, one of my favorite days so far serving on council is when I did a ride along. And I think the biggest takeaway that I had after the ride along was you think you know, but you have no idea. And, some of that is by design, if you will, but this technology, truly, like you think you know, but you have no idea. And so, you all taking the time to educate the public about these resources that you have, is just so important. And I think really helps, our community understand, somewhat to Councilmember Johnson's point of, it's not just what you see. And if there are crimes that are committed in our city, we're ready. And the technology's there, and we're going to utilize every tool in the toolbox to hold folks accountable. And so I hope that you continue to share as appropriate, and anything that, I can do to be supportive in expanding this technology, I'm happy to join with my colleagues in doing so. So thank you again.
Thank you for your comments, Councilmember Adler.
Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for sharing with us all of that this technology can do. I'm a huge proponent of drones. I've always have been, and I own a few myself, unfortunately. Don't tell my wife. Just kidding. But with that said, I believe that we are on the right track with the additional resources that we are implementing in our police department. We saw that tonight with that video. It's had thousands of views on social media, and it just goes to show what we're able to do without risking our officers and our public. Being able to implement the DART, being able to follow them, being able to track them down within minutes. And as my colleagues have also said, that they are huge proponents of this. You have my blessing as well. And I think that this is a great opportunity for our city to remain safe and to be able to protect our citizens and stop crime when we can and do it in a safe manner. So I'm all for it, and we just got to figure out how we're going to get there. And so I appreciate that and all that you guys do. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you. Just a couple questions. How long can a drone stay in the air?
Depending on the model, usually between 45 and 50 minutes.
Pardon me, what was that again?
Between 45 and 50 minutes, some 55.
Okay. How fast can a drone go?
Again, depending on the model, some of them go as fast as 60 miles per hour, but most of ours run around 35.
Do you need under what circumstances do you need a warrant? Or do you need a warrant?
Well, I mean, if we were going to use the drone for a surveillance project, we would want to secure a warrant for that. So actually going over the top of property that we can't see from the ground, but we can see it from the air, and it's for the purposes of surveillance, we would secure a warrant for that.
Okay. All right, excellent, thank you. Just had a couple questions there. Any wrap-up comments? And Deputy Mayor King, do you have further comment? Okay. If not, we'll go ahead, and I want to thank you. It sounds like you've got excellent support from the council. Thank you for serving this community. Appreciate it. Thank you for your personal interest in this, too. It has turned into quite a professional endeavor, and we thank you. With that, we move to 2C, which was on the consent agenda, and that is where we are going to authorize a contract with MIG Incorporated for the final design and engineering of the Downtown Gateway Arches project. Eric, if you'd like to fill us in on the background, that was a request made by Councilmember Whitting. Councilmember Whitting, if you want to sharpen your point on this one, if there are any questions you have, maybe he can answer those more specifically.
My concern on this one relates to an economics issue, not with the plan, and we did approve this as a council, but I think this gives us an opportunity to rethink it a little bit. We've heard a lot of concerns about rising costs and fees and so forth, and as we approved this, we took the money out of LTAC, which doesn't come out of our general fund, so we kind of are, I think, a little more free with that money than we would be with the general fund funds. But I think it was fortuitous tonight that we had the presentation by Hans that talked about how we use our LTAC funds on some of our capital projects. So the LTAC funds can, if we don't have the LTAC funds available, then we may have to use some general funds where we would otherwise be able to use LTAC funds. So I'm not as, I like to conserve all of our funds, whether they're LTAC or general fund, under the theory that the best way to assure that you have the funds when you need them is to not spend them on things that you don't need. And we've talked about the Shaw Road project tonight and how much money that project's going to cost. And I asked myself, would my constituents rather have an extra lane on Shaw Road, or would they rather have an arch over Shaw Road? And I think the answer is really clear. They don't care about an arch over Shaw Road. They want to have the roadway. So conserving some of these funds may be able to replace some general fund funds that we can then use on other things. And I think about some of the alternative uses to this to this particular project. Let me suggest a couple. Recently, we approved some funds to do a study about a Aspen Institute kind of operation at WSU, and those funds were approved to do a study. But if we want to keep that momentum going on that project, we would probably want to ante up with some funds to do the initial design work too, to get it off the ground. $500,000 might go a long way to doing some of the design work on that project, and again, convey to WSU that we want to be active partners with them. We see these trolls popping up around the community, in various communities, Vashon Island, yada, yada, yada. People like to go visit those. If we were to commission a troll for Puyallup and put it on the Riverwalk Trail, the purposes of these LTAC funds is to attract people to our city. Would a troll on the Riverwalk attract more people than an archway over Meridian? I think the answer to that is pretty clear. So I'm not fond of this project. I think it's a good way to spend some money that the public would rather have us spend on other projects. So that's my concern. I would advocate that we vote no on this project, on authorizing these projects. Thank you.
Councilmember Whitting, and I will get a correction from this from Joe Beck, the attorney. We made a decision in the budget to approve this project. So it's already been approved by this council, and we can go back and see exactly where your vote was on that. If you want to reconsider your vote, you're going to have to bring that up as a motion, get support, put that on the agenda for the future. But right now, it's been a project that has been approved. And this is the next logical step is when an item is approved, is that we take that step to go out and ask people for a final design bid. And that's what this does. So could I get some advice from our attorney, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The project is budgeted, and to remove it from the budget, you'd have to amend the budget at some point. But we also are required by our purchasing policy to bring any contract. Even though the money is budgeted, we're required to bring any contract for this amount of money to council for approval. And at that point, any council member may vote for or against that contract. That doesn't remove the project from the budget, but it certainly keeps that contract from going forward.
Understand. Well, then, if we want to go through the debate, then we will. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Johnson, could you give me an idea what was the cost that we allocated for this design? Was there a kind of a range of budget costs that we allocated?
Yes, so council authorized $525,000 in LTAC back in 2024 for this phase of the project.
Okay. And wasn't it, I remember looking at all the drawings, it was part of a comprehensive plan of kind of this, wasn't just the archways, but it was our decor and benches, and so it was all part of a package. Am I correct on this? Or?
Yeah, so back at the March 25th council meeting, we presented you all with the final plan for the wayfinding plan, and that included various elements underneath that, and the gateway arches were one of those elements. It also included the pedestrian directionals, the parking signs, and various other things as part of that plan. And so we received approval of that plan from you all that evening, and then we also asked you, how would you like us to prioritize these different elements? And what we heard from you all that evening, loud and clear, was prioritize the primary gateway arches.
Yeah.
So what we have before you is the scope and fee for those gateway arches based on the feedback that we received that evening.
Right, so there was clear direction at the time. Because I remember we went through several different arching styles, and we spent a lot of time really kind of arriving at the outcome.
Correct. Yeah.
And if I understand correctly, we've approved this with some sort of majority. Was this just the one? So let's just say hypothetically this continues and it passes as we intended back in March, and this goes through now the contract process. This would just be for the cost design, and that's at that point, once it's kind of put in plans, then we would look for opportunities to fund that, actually to begin the construction. Is that correct?
Yeah, so basically what we're doing with final design engineering, and Hans Hunger can certainly jump in and talk in more detail about this, is basically we're going to take the plan that you all approved at conceptual level and then get that to construction-ready documents so that we can go out to bid and select a contractor to fabricate and install the two gateway arches, which would be on North Meridian, just south of 5th Avenue, and then the second location would be in front of the blue lot on Meridian by the fairgrounds.
So this budgeted amount of $500,000 plus is no construction cost. This is strictly planning, design,
final design,
turnkey,
engineering,
ready to go in construction. Okay.
Yeah, so civil engineering, structural engineering, all the geotechnical work that needs to happen, and also some easement requirements that we'll need to do.
Thank you. City Attorney, it was mentioned, I guess I'm a little caught off guard, and maybe correct me if I'm mistaken, but one of my colleague, Councilor Whitting, mentioned that LTAC could be perhaps reprioritized towards Shaw Road and widening. Is that something that LTAC funds could be used? Because that was an example that was used. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I never heard that before when it comes to road work.
Yeah, I expect Councilmember Whitting will clarify what he intended by that. But to your question, you're correct. LTAC would not be used for and could not be used for just any general construction project.
Yeah.
Just by way of clarification, I wasn't suggesting that those funds could be used for Shaw Road, but they could be used on a project that might take general fund money that could otherwise be spent on Shaw Road. That was my point.
Not sure it's an equal apples to apples point, but certainly there's some element there. I guess, I'm going to support this as we've already made this decision back in March. It's moved forward. We went through the design process. I guess I might have been compelled to reconsider if there was a replacement alternative, but you just said you're not comfortable. But I propose canceling this and then putting it here with a thought plan, not just kind of ending. So I guess I'm a little concerned. It's a little bit knee-jerk at this point with no alternative consideration of what those funds could be used for. I do think there is some value, and there's some things that LTAC funding certainly brings value to our city in terms of culture, welcoming, desirability to be here, spend time here. And I remember looking at those particular archways, and they're more than just an archway. It's very much an entrance and welcoming. So I'll give you an example. Nordstrom in downtown Seattle, maybe too much information, has been struggling. Downtown Seattle's been struggling, period. I mean, all the businesses are flying out of there since COVID. And Nordstrom did a kind of a unique thing, and it's quite interesting. They built these archways around, kind of lighted archways around the entry doorways, which kind of draws you in. It's something different. It kind of wants you to go into the store. We found that our traffic has increased because of that, so it was tend to be kind of a draw. In this sense, this is the entryways to our city. It's a welcoming. It identifies you're in Puyallup, and its design is quite nice. And if Mr. Johnson, maybe you help me. This archway sign, once it's approved and perhaps funded, aren't all of the kind of the wayfinders, isn't the theme kind of all tied together? And so this would kind of follow the other projects. This is part one of several other projects.
Yeah, so to use the analogy, you can think of the gateway arches as the parents and the wayfinding signage as the children of those parents.
So it's part of a master plan. Yeah. So I'm uncomfortable not kind of backing up on this when it's part of a master plan that we looked at in terms of tables, chairs, benches, wayfinders, all connected to the sign. I don't know why we would to do this, especially if it was LTAC funds. If it was general financing, 100% would say, yeah, maybe wrong timing. But I would support this and hope that the council does as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dorr.
Thank you. Excuse me. So we've heard for months now about parking and how we don't have it or people are unable to locate it. And so I did not vote with this prioritization. I think that we have a real concern. We have changes happening. And to me, the wayfinding signage, it seems like you put the bow on the package after you put the package together. And so these arches, to me, I mean, I would much rather have people know where to park. And I would much rather have the public see what is available to eliminate some of those concerns. So I'm supportive of my colleague, I was going to call you Deputy, whatever your name is, Whittings.
I'm Ned.
Ned. Well, we're going through all the titles in my head. I will be supporting, or actually not supporting the item because you didn't make a motion, but I think we should be focusing on letting people know where to park. Thanks.
Yeah, and just to clarify, so we also included on tonight's consent agenda a separate scope and fee for the wayfinding signage, which includes final design and engineering for all the other signage, including the parking signs.
Yes, but I think we need the parking signs. Mm-hmm. So I want the money. I would prefer the money goes to actually putting the signs on the street. I know what you're saying. You're right. Your first step, but anyway, thank you.
Councilmember Dorr, let me correct yourself. If you look at 2B, that's exactly what 2B does. Authorize a contract with the same firm for final design engineering of the downtown Puyallup wayfinding signage plan project. So we already proved that previously.
But my point is the same as it was when this came to us, that I do not, it seems to me you need to get the people into the city, help them figure out how to get around it, and then you put the fancy, I don't see how the fancy archway brings people, how it benefits our residents or brings people here if they can't navigate the city. So it seemed, my preference would be that we had money to address all these parking concerns and letting people know that we do have.
Okay, but just so you understand, we authorized that we're going to do that.
I understand, but what I'm saying is I would rather, to design it, what I'm saying is put this $525,000 into that same project and get it done instead of having.
First of all, correction, $525,000 is for the package, correct?
For the entire package. So yes. What we've done here is essentially we've split this project into two scopes. So we've got the gateway arches here and then the wayfinding here, final design engineering for both.
Got it. Okay, so just so we're very clear, we are going to have the wayfinding signage. We already passed that. So Councilmember Whitting.
So I just want to be sure I understand the economics of this. So you talk about the two projects together. So my understanding is the 500,000 relates just to the design phase of just the arches. Is that correct?
That is for both. It is for the wayfinding signage project as a whole, which includes the primary gateway arches and all of the other signage included with that.
Yeah, and do we have an estimate of what the fabrication and installation costs are going to be?
For the gateway arches?
Yeah.
For the arches, so the conceptual estimate of probable costs is between $800,000 and $1.2 million for each one. So around $1 million per gateway arch in construction cost at this time. So when we get through final design engineering, we'll sharpen that pencil and true up that cost more.
So, and the bulk of the 500,000, I assume, is, probably 2/3 of it or more is going to be related to the archway?
Correct, because there's a lot of structural engineering that needs to happen. There's actually some right-of-way improvements that need to happen. So, for example, the north location will have to redo the new sidewalks, put some bulb outs out for the posts, and some other public right-of-way improvements as part of that. With the wayfinding signage, essentially we're contracting with a fabricator who's basically fabricating the signs, and then our public works crews can just place them. So
Yes.
not a lot of stuff that needs to go, not a lot of structural engineering that needs to go around that.
Yeah, so in total, this is the gateway arches look like they cost $2.3 million, something like that?
Potentially, probably around $2 million for both combined. So, but again, we need to get through final design and engineering to get those costs trued up. Right now, we just have high-level ROM costs.
And that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So again, there's alternative uses for these funds, and we talked about putting a pump track in at Van Lierop Park. That would be a good use of LTAC funds. How much do we, I don't recall what the cost of the pump track was.
I don't recall, but I think Cody Geddes might be able to answer that question if he wants to come up here.
I think that's actually questionable whether that can be used for the pump track. LTAC is to be used for tourism-related subjects.
True.
And you made a comment earlier that we're spending things from the general fund that could be used, that could be paid for by LTAC, and I'd like to know what they are. I'd like to know, what are we spending out of general fund right now that we could use LTAC funds for? Because I have a feeling we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I mean, we can fund the signage and at the same time fund the arches. And Shaw Road is $80 million, and you cannot use LTAC funds, I guarantee you, for any of the things on Shaw Road. So saying that we're going to supplant general funds with LTAC dollars, no, we're very clear. LTAC has to be tourism related, and these funds can only be used for tourism related by law. They cannot be used for anything else. So the funds that are used for WSU, that must be a tourism related project, which could bring hundreds of conferences to Puyallup and bring us heads in beds. So I understand you don't like the project, and you may want to reprioritize it for other tourism related, but I would certainly want to be very clear that it falls within that category. And I do think we have a fair amount of funds in that LTAC that we can both walk and chew gum at the same time. That's my argument. Councilmember Adler.
So I've still got the dais here, I believe. I was patient with your interruption, but I've still got the
okay.
mic, I think.
Proceed.
So Hans, you gave a presentation earlier. Well, first off, let me clarify. I've never said, and I will never say that LTAC funds can be used to fund Shaw Road. I've said that. This is the second time I've said that. I'll say it a third time if I need to. However, in your presentation earlier this evening on the TIP program, you had LTAC funds listed on there, did you not?
Yes, I did. We've used it both on the 9th Avenue Southwest Festival Street, and we're currently using it on the Meeker Festival Street.
So if we had not used the LTAC funds on that project, what kind of funds would we have used?
We would have had to look at either street funds, general fund. We would have had to look at some other source, an increased use of the lift funds.
So we are avoiding using our general funds by using LTAC funds on those projects.
Correct, yes.
Are there other projects that we are contemplating that we could also use LTAC funds on to supplement, to avoid using our general funds?
The only one that I've heard mentioned before, and it's not currently on the tip, is the idea of a connection from downtown and the park down to the fair. Again, bringing that kind of festival street in, but I haven't done any exhaustive search of and really talked with other staff members on what would be eligible that really would be related to tourism that does it. Definitely the festival streets are a great source of that. And you could make an argument that the more you put into Festival Street, the more you can maybe release out like lift funds, which have a much broader use within a defined geographic area.
Yeah, so we've used LTAC funds at the rec center as well, correct?
Correct, yes.
And that's because we bring in people to play in baseball games, correct?
Yep, those are for the fields.
Yeah, so if we wanted to fund the pump track with this funds, pump tracks bring in people from other locations as well, correct? So we could make such a case?
I suppose it could. I'm not the expert on that. I would probably be referring to our attorney and our city manager to help guide me on that.
Yeah, okay, so I think I've made my point. I just feel strongly that this is a poor use of citizen resources, and we've raised a lot of taxes on our citizens and a lot of fees on our citizens the last year or so. I don't like the idea that we're going to have to do that again because we're spending money on an archway. I don't think our citizens would look favorably on that, and I believe in speaking for my citizens. Thank you.
Councilmember Adler.
Thank you. Eric, I want to walk through the numbers because now I am confused. So this line item, or this item rather, is to move forward with design. Is that correct?
Final design and engineering, correct.
Okay. And that is part of a total allocation in the current budget, in the current budget, in the total of $525,000, which does include the wayfinding signs as well. And does that include its production?
Just for final design and engineering of that. So that was, as Mayor Castema mentioned, that was the separate item. It was around a little over $100,000. So.
Okay, so the $525,000 total is really just for engineering and final design of everything.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it was approved to be spent out of LTAC funds.
Correct.
Correct. When we come back, or when this comes back for construction, you stated, related to the arches, that it could be up to $1.2 million in construction for each. Is that correct?
Correct. That's what the conceptual estimates say. So, but once we get through final design and engineering, we'll have a more accurate cost estimate for that.
Right.
Excuse
so
me.
1.2 is high number, right? Like that's the top.
That's the top number, yeah. So the consultant firm always gives us a range whenever we're looking at conceptual estimates. So it could be as low as 800,000, it could be as high as 1.2 million. So it'll probably be somewhere in between that range.
Right. And am I correct that at that point, because those dollars have not been allocated, period, correct?
No, they have not been allocated.
Okay. And when that time comes for those dollars to be allocated, would the proposal then be that construction cost and implementation cost come from LTAC?
Yes, so the current plan is for next year, staff will be making a city-initiated LTAC request to fund the first of 2 gateway arches. And we will be requesting construction funding for that first gateway arch to be constructed in 2027.
Thank you. My last question is, I assume, though you never should, that this project has been reviewed by the LTAC committee. It was part of the package that they reviewed.
Correct.
And they gave a due pass recommendation, for lack of a better term.
Correct, yeah. So this request was made in 2024, and the LTAC committee approved that request.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to authorize a contract for MIG for the final design and engineering of the Downtown Gateway Arches project, scope, and fee.
Okay, a motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. There is now discussion.
I'd like to speak to that.
Certainly, you made the motion.
Yeah, so as was mentioned, this is a great, Councilmember Whitting, if you had come with a compelling argument on why we should back up and we should divert it to something I might have considered, but there really isn't an option, so we're kind of freezing and not doing anything. So I'm not likely to entertain that without some alternative. I also want to address that this has already been passed by the LTAC process. It's been passed by the majority of council to move it forward. And so I think unless there's an alternative plan that would make sense, it wouldn't be responsible of leadership at this point to pull it. Also, it was mentioned too, and I just, I think it's semantics here a little bit, there was mention of citizens. You don't want to use your citizens' tax money. For the most part, this didn't come from our citizens. This came from those who stayed in our hotels and paid taxes, most likely out of the area. So this is not coming out of our tax base. It isn't coming out of anything that we raised on taxes. This is really coming from visitors who've enjoyed our town, stayed here, and that this LTAC money is coming. So it's a little, I think, a little unfair to state that our citizens are really, in a sense, having to pay this bill when we can't even. When it's not coming from them for the most part, unless they happen to stay locally, which is be very unlikely in terms of majority. So anyway, I just think we should move forward with this. I believe that we will find the funding for this. It'll be a real asset to our developing downtown with all the new developments coming up and some of the new constructions. Puyallup is really going to be a very special, inviting place to come. And this is just, the archways are not the only piece. I will petition, and I will even give Councilmember Whitting, kind of some perspective. I think if we were looking at this in and of itself, I would say, yeah, perhaps this is an overreach. But remember, we have multiple economic drivers happening in our city. This is another piece that's going to add to the new construction, economic development of our downtown core, and the timing of these other pieces coming in conjunction with this wayfinders and signs is really going to be kind of this synchronated new elements popping up and really giving our downtown something to be very proud of. So it's not a standalone piece. It's part of economic growth that'll be happening over the next couple of years. And the timing of this with all these different farmers markets over here at the Cornforth Campbell and the units there, the OB lot happening there, and then these signage and things coming up is all kind of a coordinated effort that I think is more than a standalone, but part of a comprehensive vision that we as council members are visionaries, and we see the bigger picture, not just the signs. So anyway, that's my compelling argument, and we have a motion in a second. Mr. Mayor, I'll let you take it from here.
Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Adler and Councilmember Johnson, for the information that you brought to light, and took a lot of my talking points out from underneath me, so I appreciate that. And I would also like to add that, again, I think it goes to say with the LTAC dollars, we have to find a compelling reason that a pump track would be able to receive those LTAC dollars. I don't see pump track races. I don't see pump track competitions that would actually bring additional bodies into our city. I could be wrong, and so if that were the case, I would own up to that and like to see that argument brought to the dais, just for conversational purposes, to see how that would generate revenue in our city, not just the weekend race, but it's much different than a baseball tournament at a rec center. And so I understand. I just want a compelling reason. But for now, I will be voting for this, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
The mayor believes debate is getting very close to an end. I'd ask members to keep their comments brief. Councilmember Whitting.
I just used the pump track as an example of a good use. And again, probably a better example would be the Aspen Institute and our ability to keep the momentum going after the design, after the survey, the initial step. So I completely support the other aspects of the wayfinding project. I just find that a $2 million price tag on something that, if we want to talk about justifying use of LTAC funds, I don't think these gateway arches are going to bring a single person to Puyallup. They're not going to put a single head in a single bed. The Aspen Institute is, as the mayor has pointed out and been a champion of that, I love that project. I think it's a great project. I think it'll bring a lot of people to it. I'd rather reserve these funds to make sure that project has the momentum to bring it to a successful conclusion, as opposed to putting it into an archway that we have an archway over by the parking garage. I'd be interested to see if anybody could tell me what's on that archway. I will ask my colleagues. We drive under that archway fairly frequently, I would imagine. Does anybody know what's on that archway?
I believe you're referring to a pedestrian overpass.
Correct.
Okay, it's a pedestrian overpass.
But there's something on that. If you can't tell me what it is, I rest my case. Thank you.
It's a pedestrian overpass. Councilmember Dorr.
Thank you. I will be brief. I was the mayor at the time that this pump track thing came up, and I was not a big fan of it because how it was pitched to me was that it is a global competition track, that it would bring Red Bull sponsors tournaments. So there was a lot of. I was very concerned about putting that out in that area in a family park. So there is the Red Bull UCI Pump Track World Championships, and they were talking about, I met with constituents that were advocating for it, and they were talking about being able to bring that here and all the tourism dollars. So it is a thing, and I guess I'm going to go out with a healthy debate. Thanks.
Okay, with that, we're going to go to a vote. My comment will be that I believe we can walk and chew gum at the same time. None of these things are mutually exclusive. You can get the Aspen Institute, you can get these other aspects at the same time of the arch. They're not mutually exclusive, in my opinion. With that, we're going to go to a vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
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 Okay, I believe the vote is a 4-3. If you disagree, we'll go to a roll call. Okay, it's a 4-3. With that, we're now going to go on to.
I would like a roll call,
Okay.
Mayor. Thank you.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor King,
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliam,
Aye.
Councilmember Whitting,
Nay.
Councilmember Dorr,
Nay.
Councilmember Adler,
Nay.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Mayor Castema.
Aye. Okay, with that, we're now going to move on to the city manager's report.
Your next meeting is on January 6th of 2026. We're going to start working on that agenda here soon. And other than that, I do want to be aware of the time, and I suspect there are going to be comments from several of you regarding some of your colleagues. I just want to say a couple quick things. First of all, Mayor Castema, your past 2 years being the mayor, as some of your colleagues on the dais know, can be challenging at times. Not only do you have to lead a meeting, but you have to participate in one. And it's hard work, and council has seen a lot of items come before them this past couple years, and you've done a great job as mayor, and just want to acknowledge your service as mayor. And I know you still have 4 more years to go as a council member. And then also, so thank you, Mayor Castema, for your service. And then also, Councilmember Dorr, the opportunity at your reception before to say comments. So I don't want to take up any more time, but other than to say 12 years of wonderful service, and on behalf of the entire team, Puyallup, all 300 plus of us, and 44,000 residents, thank you for 12 wonderful years of service to our wonderful city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We'll now move on to individual council reports. Councilmember Adler.
Thank you. I apologize for not being there in person for Julie's send-off this evening. I am back east on business travel with my day job. But again, Julie, I just want to thank you for your commitment to the city of Puyallup and its residents. You have inspired me. You have pushed me. You have shown me grace and understanding, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. And I really appreciate that. I'll miss you. But if there is one thing that I will be sure to do is to continue leading with heart like you do and have done for 12 years. And also with grace. Like I said, you have extended to me many times. So thank you. We'll miss you. But thank you too for staying involved, right? And the job that you now have, certainly none of what I just described is going to go away. And I suspect that it will only become stronger. And so I look forward to working with you in a new way and seeing what all you do in service to and with love for our community. And I saw our city manager wearing his I love my Puyallup button. I don't have mine with me, but I will be sure to carry that forward too, because it was a very positive and helpful way to bring our community together. So thank you for that. I'll miss you, friend. But like I said, we know where to find you. I'm also sad that I wasn't there. I'm not there in person because I guess I'm wearing a red blazer, but Councilmember Gilliam and Councilmember Dorr, I guess that must have been an honor, showing the red blazers. So I'm sad that I was not there in solidarity. Other than that, thank you for the opportunity and privilege to continue serving in this position. The end of 2025 marks the end of year 2 of my 4-year term. It continues, like I said, to be an incredible privilege, and it is an honor to serve with each and every one of you up here on this dais, despite many times perhaps not seeing eye to eye. And certainly we had our challenges this year, but when I ran for office, I talked about civility and the importance of bringing civility back to our local political, our city hall. That's not to say that I was incivil before, but it is important for me to model civility, and I take my relationship with each of you very seriously as we work towards our common goals. And I'm grateful that you all make it very easy to be civil. And I think that was also on display in our previous debate. So thank you for that. Thank you to the staff. As I've always said, us elected officials, we are nothing but the ornament on the hood of the car. Staff is everything else and really makes the vehicle go. And it is my hope that everybody gets some time off this holiday season to relax, rejuvenate, spend time with family and friends, and reflect. It was a very long and oftentimes challenging year, and everyone deserves some respite and also time for reflection to remember and reflect on how we overcame many of those challenges in the name of civility. So thank you. I look forward to seeing you all in 2026.
Thank you, Councilmember Adler. Councilmember Gilliam.
Thank you, Mayor Castema. I am going to do a little bit of reporting, and then I'll do my admirational towards my colleagues here in a second. PMSA has a very special brand new event, never been done for in Puyallup, so I hope you pay attention. This Saturday between 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. or until supplies run out, we're having our very first stocking stroll. So you show up to the Puyallup Main Street Association building, check in, hopefully there'll be a line, but there's stocking, you get a stocking and a bingo card. The bingo card will send you around to the different local shops where you'll bring your stocking and you'll be able to receive something for your stocking. But it's just a really unique, creative way to bring people into our local businesses, and it's happening this Saturday, and you get a free stocking and free stocking stuffers to go in it. So check out the local shops, and good job, PMSA. I also wanted to do a huge shout out to our Puyallup Police Department. Very, very grateful for the proactive response, thinking ahead. How can we be financially smart and efficient in public service and safety? I was very impressed with the drone presentation. And I just want to encourage anybody, if you have any questions about our Puyallup Police Department, please go on a ride along. If you have concerns about the jail, you have concerns about how our officers operate, see them in action, see what it takes to keep all of us safe. I've been shopping, obviously, locally at a grocery store, and multiple times when I'm talking to people, they tell me they come from outside of our city to shop in our city because they feel safe shopping for groceries in our city. So Puyallup is known for public safety. We're known for creating a safe environment for people. And so I just want to, if anybody has a challenge with our police officers, I just encourage you to go on a ride along and see for yourself what really happens. So thank you. Wow. Okay, so Councilmember Dorr, I have a fun memory that I wanted to say for the dais. And first of all, I do want to see you on that friendship swing, and I'll even ride it with you. That, I was like, ooh, when she was talking about it during the Bradley Lake Park, I was like, I want to see that.
I'll push you if your legs don't reach.
But it was during COVID, and Mayor Julie Dorr had a brilliant idea. I think we were just getting coffee and just talking, and she goes, you know how we have elf on the shelf, and we should do an elf in Puyallup. And I'm like, I have an elf costume. So we decided that we were just going to go around throughout Puyallup, just walk along, and she challenged me to come up with some jokes. They were really lame, actually. But we were wearing our masks, we were just trotting around, and whenever we saw somebody, we'd stop and like, hey, Elf on the Shelf, except Elf in Puyallup. By the way, here's a funny Christmas joke. And they were mostly lame. But that is Julie's heart, is to build connections and Love My Puyallup. That was under the Love My Puyallup umbrella that we went out and just inspired connection and humor. And I remember even we had fun on the playground here in Pioneer Park with the families and children. Yeah, and kids wanted to come and say hi to the elf. And that was one of my treasured memories with you. So I just want to make sure and share that you are inspiring, and thank you. I have had an absolute joy this year learning from Mayor Castema. He let me ask the hard questions. He was willing to give me tips on and research, and he let me be new. He let me gave me space to process and to be frustrated and to be angry, and redirected me. So I guess what I want to say about you, Mayor Castema, is I appreciate your integrity. I can appreciate your compassion. Thank you for being a good listener and allowing me to push back. I really appreciate how you are bigger picture minded, and I really appreciate how you pay attention to unintended consequences. Those are some things that I learned. I can get caught up in emotion and see up close, and you have the ability to expand and look at bigger. So I just wanted to say thank you for your leadership this year. And for the rest of my colleagues, I've definitely learned a lot in the last 2 years. I learned what to do. I learned what not to do. I learned where to go, where not to go, so to speak. And along with Julie Dorr, I love Puyallup. I could say that about all of us. Along with you all, I love Puyallup, and it's been an honor to learn and grow. And I would still like to keep reaching out to Councilmember Dorr after and be like, Julie, what do you think? So I just really look forward to 2026, and thank you, Puyallup, for allowing us this opportunity to serve you. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for the challenges. And city staff, you really are incredible. We have the best city manager in any city. So Steve, thank you for, I could even say similar things about you that I said about Mayor Castema, is that you're a great listener. You give us resources. You answer the tough questions. You show up when it's hard. And you give us strength and courage as well. So thank you very much. And then just all of the department heads and supporting staff, you knocked it out of the park over the last 2 years. Lots of projects have been completed, vision and plan, strategic planning for the future. We have a really incredible city staff, and I've heard horror stories from other cities about what they go through. We really do have a top-notch city. So I guess I'm going to end it with Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Thank you, Councilmember Gilliam. Councilmember Whitting.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everyone. It's that time of year, and I'd just like to bring to people's attention an opportunity to give that's available to us at the South Hill Mall. There are a couple of vending machines up there that are called giving machines, and they provide in the machines there's opportunities to give to local and actually international charities that can help folks around the world, and Step by Step is in there, a number of local charities we can donate to. So if you're looking for some ideas about how to spend money and how to really feel the Christmas spirit, you can go buy those machines and donate there. So I wanted to bring that to folks' attention. I think it's a really cool concept, and I've seen lines form to donate in those machines. We are closing out the year. I'd just like to thank my colleagues. we do have robust debates from time to time. Tonight being a good example of that, and we all speak our minds and say our pieces, and we don't agree on at times, and we do agree at others, and I think as we disagree, if we are listening attentively, then we can hear the messages, and Mayor Castema is always one to talk about avoiding unintended consequences, and I think we do the best job we can of avoiding those unintended consequences when we listen to differing opinions, and we can work things out. And I just like to say that I want to continue the spirit of this council and in the coming year, and I'll do my best to bring harmony and civility, but encourage robust debate as well. And I thank everybody for their patience with me this evening. We had advanced this project in the past, and just the more I thought about it, I just thought we needed to take one last look at it. So again, I appreciate your time and your consideration. And I've had a partner here and sitting next to me for the last couple of years, and we're gonna shake up the dais, and we won't I won't get to sit with her next to her and any longer, and it'll anytime we make those changes, it's an adjustment process, and as we bring in a new face to our council, we all have to get used to the new face and get to know them so that we can be more effective at working together, and it's always a little sadness as we lose a face that we've gotten comfortable with and can work with, and it's difficult to go through these changes. So thank you, Julie, for all you've done.
Thank you, Councilmember Whitting. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did, just for the record, I did quickly speak with our incoming Mayor Whitting earlier today, and asked him if there's traditionally, I know, Mayor, you'll still be mayor, you'll open up the meeting at the next meeting in January, so technically you still have another role as mayor before that baton is passed, and I've asked incoming mayor if there would be some allowance in the agenda to be able to honor you at that time as you officially exit, and he granted that opportunity. So I'll be saving my comments for you at that time, at the conclusion of your service. And I really wanted to focus on Councilmember Julie Dorr at this time because she's exiting 12 years of service, and I felt it would be appropriate to focus on her primarily. So, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members and staff and members of the Puyallup community, tonight I want to recognize and honor Councilmember Julie Dorr for her 12 years of service to the Puyallup City Council. As you know, 12 years is a significant commitment of time, energy, and heart, and our city really is better because of her willingness to serve, and that's been evident to see. Julie has been deeply rooted in this community long before she ever took the seat on this dais. As a lifelong Puyallup resident, a local business owner, and a committed civic volunteer, she brought personal investment into every decision she made. And that connection to the community was evident through her tenure and has shaped much of her public service. Now, on a little bit lighter and really vulnerable moment, Julie and I have not always shared the same political perspective. In fact, I would say this with a smile, that she did not endorse me in either my reelection efforts or my campaigns. In fact, she even supported the opponents that were running against me. But however, she did it with enthusiasm, and she has a right to do that. That is the democratic way to make your choices and to move forward. But I say that in lightness, really to state this. That's how a healthy democratic process should work. You pick the ones you want to move forward, that you think that reflects your opinions, you move it forward. But I can say this, and this is what's remarkable, truly remarkable, that I've had a chance to witness several times. Once the ballots were counted and the people chose who they wanted to be on the team, there was never a wall between us that I could ever pick up on the dais or anywhere else. We put the elections behind us. We worked together for the good of Puyallup, and that's what we've done over these last 10 years that I've been working with you on this. In fact, Julie, you consistently demonstrated professionalism, respect, and courtesy. When you served as mayor, you never once dismissed or disrespected me when I had a perspective to share. And you always recognized me from the dais, and you listened thoughtfully and allowed the council process to work as it should. And I want to say, Julie, that really matters. That attitude really matters. And it speaks to your character, your maturity, and a genuine commitment to the institution of this local government. And you displayed that as an example that inspired me when I was serving as mayor. You, again, once things were over, this is the team, and you were on board with it. So thank you for that. Julie's time as mayor also coincided with one of the most difficult periods any local leader could face, the COVID-19 pandemic. And if someone were asked to choose a time to serve as mayor, that one would not likely be the moment they would pick. But yet Julie stepped up and served well during that difficult time. During that unprecedented public health crisis, it was filled with uncertainty, fear, and rapidly changing information. She provided, during the midst of all that, steady leadership. She worked hard to support local residents, local businesses, city staff, and first responders, and all the while navigating circumstances that no one had a playbook to even go by. She led with calm, compassion, and resolve. Our city benefited from that steady hand during a time when stability mattered most. Beyond that, the council, Julie has given countless hours to regional and community service. Her work with the Central Pierce Fire and Rescue and her service with South Sound 911 and her broader involvement in public safety and civic organizations reflect commitment that extended far beyond what was required. She showed up, she participated, and she contributed meaningfully. And I would even add in a very authentic way. Tonight, we congratulate Julie on her new role as Executive Director of the Puyallup Main Street Association. I have no doubt that you will do an outstanding job. Your passion for this city and your energy and your advocacy for our downtown core will serve Main Street very well and all of Puyallup extremely well in this next chapter of your life. In reflecting on Julie's service, I can honestly say this. She was never lazy, never disengaged, never silent out of convenience. She worked really hard. She spoke with conviction, and she had the courage to advocate for what she believed was right. Julie, from one council member to another, thank you for your 12 years of service to our city and to the constituents here and the businesses. Thank you for your leadership during challenging times, your professionalism, and for your willingness to serve even when it wasn't easy. We may not have always agreed, but we both stood, I think, for the good of our city, from the best perspective that we had, and we respected the process that governs it. And really, Julie, that is public service done right, and certainly an example for many state and national public officials to follow, quite frankly. President John F. Kennedy once stated, "One person can make a difference, and everyone should try." In this case, Councilmember Julie Dors certainly made a difference because she tried every day. For 12 years, she showed up, did the work, and served the city with commitment and purpose. And the fruits of her labor are evident today and will continue to bear fruit in the city of Puyallup for years to come. And Julie, this is on a personal level, so you may know where this is going to go, but this is my heart to yours. I would like to extend this blessing to you. May God bless you, your family, your businesses, all of your future endeavors. May God grant you a full life, one filled with purpose and meaning and fulfillment. And may you continue to walk in the calling that He has placed on your life as a dedicated and capable public servant. Julie, your work service has mattered, your leadership has left a mark, and your legacy in this city will endure. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Dorr.
Thank you. Well, goodbyes are not my thing. They're really tough because people matter to me. So you guys might think you're getting rid of me, but again, I actually know where all of you live. And I know where to find you. It's been my honor. It was never my intention to serve in this role. And some of these comments tonight made me think about that. I had no intention of running. But at the time, we were known for the Hatfield and McCoy fights. That's what I would call it. One would have an election cycle, and they would spend all their time trying to undo what the other side did, back and forth, back and forth. And so I had been asked many times to run, and I said no. But then I thought about that, and I said, I went to the person that was running for this seat, and I said, you have to stop. If you can promise me that you will stop, I will not file. But we cannot pick the sides. And he said, no, you have to pick a side. And so the governor signed our bill on May 16th, and I filed May 17th. And I hope that this council, we do have, I think it's kind of a little bit funny that we go out, my last meeting, we go out with the debate at the end, which is fine. But I really believe in this community. I believe in my colleagues. I believe in the city staff. You guys have been so amazing, and I will really miss you. Councilmember-elect Smolko was here earlier, and I wanted to have the opportunity to welcome her, but she does have a day job too. She'll be my council representative. I'll hold her accountable to take care of my people. And lastly, I just want to say, when I made this decision to run, it was not a me, it was a we. And so Frank, even though Talika took his spot, has been at most of these meetings because it was a family commitment. My children were here earlier today, but they are the ones that gave up their wife, mom, sister, daughter. And I spent a lot of time on that because I lost my mom. It's just been a year now, but was it worth it? Was the time worth it? And it was, because I feel like I lost some time with her because of this job that I can never get back. But I know that she's proud of the work that was done, and she would want this world to be a better place for her grandchildren. And so I'm taking that with me. But I want to thank my family, and I want to thank city staff. Every single one of you has been so amazing. And you did tell a joke to a dog. You shouldn't have brought it up because I have the videos. And City Manager Kirkley was assigned to me as a constituent because I was a noisy constituent to go to the legislature. And I'm down there going, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I don't know if you remember this, I'm in the hall of the Senate singing, I'm just a bill. And he's like, who are you? Anyway, thank you for the opportunity to serve. I look forward to continuing to see you in a different capacity and to continue making Puyallup great. And I do love my Puyallup. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dorr. Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate that it's taking you this long just to make sure you call me Deputy Mayor on the last night. No, I'm kidding. It was the last council meeting that happened. No. So tonight is just one of those moments where the work we do as a city feels especially meaningful. It's a chance to reflect, to celebrate, and to say thank you to the people who make Puyallup the community we are all proud of. First, I want to be the sixth person to recognize Councilmember Dorr. We had a great reception beforehand, and Julie has dedicated 12 years of service to the city, 12 years of showing up, and 12 years of rolling up your sleeves for Puyallup. You have shaped policies and helped guide our city through both challenges and opportunities, and we are excited for your new role as the Executive Director of the Main Street Association. I know you'll bring the same passion, heart, and steady hand to revitalizing and supporting our downtown businesses as you've showed throughout your time here on council. And thank you for everything that you've done, everything you're still going to do for this community. It has not gone unnoticed, and we look forward to your work ahead. So thank you. Also, I want to take a moment to thank Mayor Jim Castema. Over the last 2 years, Jim has led with steadiness, with clarity, and with a deep sense of responsibility to this community. You've guided us through tough decisions, elevated the conversations that matter, and reminded us that leadership, true leadership, is not about the title you hold, but the trust you earn. Jim, thank you for your leadership, your mentorship, and your example, and I look forward to serving with you over the next 4 years. As for me, these last 4 years on City Council and the last 2 years serving as Deputy Mayor have been some of the most meaningful years of my life, and together we've tackled major infrastructure needs. We've strengthened our public safety. We've invested in our parks, expanded opportunities for families and businesses, and laid the groundwork for a downtown that is growing, that is vibrant, and full of possibility. We've brought people and major stakeholders to the table. Each and every one of us here on the dais has brought new energy to long-standing challenges. And we did it the right way, through collaboration, accountability, and unwavering belief in the future of Puyallup. None of this happens without our citizens, your engagement, your emails, your late night testimonies, your passion for this place. This is what keeps us moving forward. And you remind us, the citizens, why the work we do matters. So thank you. And to my fellow council members, thank you for your partnership, your perspectives, and your willingness to serve our beautiful city. We don't always agree, but we always work for the good of our city. That's what makes this body strong. And as we wrap up this year, I want to thank and wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And to Councilmember Whitting's note, make sure you visit the South End Mall and donate to those special vending machines up there. I did. I was there on opening night, or opening morning, I should say. And it was a great, great opportunity. So may this season bring joy to your families, peace to your homes, and a renewed sense of what's possible for our community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor King. It has been an honor to serve with you these last 2 years. If you'd all join me in an applause for Councilmember Dorr, please. Thank you. I'm glad all the members had the opportunity to express in words many of the feelings that we have towards you, Councilmember Dorr, and we wish you the best. At this time, in the past, at this meeting, I give a summation of what we have done in the last year, or the last 2 years in this case, and I'd like to go ahead and provide that. As we complete 2025, I am pleased to report that Puyallup remains financially strong and focused on responsible growth. Our budget continues to fully fund essential services, maintains healthy reserves, and invests in projects that strengthen the quality of life for the people in Puyallup. We've emphasized transparency, prudent spending, and financial stability while continuing to make Puyallup a wonderful place to live, and raise a family. This year, we advanced transformational capital projects, including the completion of the 9th Avenue Festival Street at the fairgrounds, which gives us a new gathering space to support events and tourism. 90% of the funds were paid for by outside grants, and the utility funds that we used on the behalf of taxpayers saved us, if not hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in the future. We opened the Van Leret Park Children's Playground, and we partnered with the Rotary to deliver a teen center inside the Puyallup Library. Downtown continues to thrive with 100% storefront occupancy, new murals, and beautification efforts. We are modernizing public safety with the public safety building remodeled downtown, and we are leasing needed space on the South Hill. State transportation investments, including SR 167 extension to Tacoma, are moving forward towards completion in 2029 after decades of delay. We are also advancing major redevelopments in our downtown core. Palindrome, Cornforth, AOB, and the Bell property, as of today, along with traffic calming in neighborhoods, senior center parking solutions, new signage, benches, and progress on Meeker Festival Street. It is clear that Puyallup is taking charge of its own destiny to create a city we will be proud to call home in 10, 20, 30 years from now. My final remarks is I want to thank my colleagues for joining me on this journey. It has taken courage, intellect, and a love for the city to accomplish what we have. To the city staff, the fact that Puyallup has a quality of life rating over 90% says it all. Without you, that would not be possible. And finally, to the wise residents of Puyallup, our goal, as always, will be to live up to your expectations as leaders. We look forward to returning in January and continue serving you. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.